This broadcast is brought to you by Logitech G, Motorsport Australia, Play Seat, The Gamesman, OG Gear, SimSpeed TV, Speed Cafe, and the Australian Sim Racing Group.
Hi, my name's Courtney Prince and last year I competed in Porsche Carrera Cup with BWT. Today I've been on the Sims with the OG race gear. I love the new gloves, they're really breathable and awesome so you don't get sweaty hands using your normal race gloves on the Sim. The socks are also really good, you don't get sore feet on the Sim. I also think in training they'll be really handy as well.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Hi guys, Lockie Dalton here from Tickford Racing. We're in our Wildcard Gen 3 car. Something really cool, what we've got here is our MPI sim wheel. So configured with our Logitech button box. As you can see, it is identical to our Gen 3 wheel. Really cool for the sim world and the supercar world as well. Can't wait to get home and use this. As you can see, you can nearly configure this exactly the same as we would have our supercars. So exact same material, something I'm really keen for.
Well, when the series has tracks such as Bathurst, the Bend and Phillip Island left on the calendar, there's a lot of rise and fall yet to come. But the place with the most on the season is tonight going to be Road Atlanta. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, to be specific, located in Braselton, Georgia. I'll tell you what, I was doing some numbers and doing some digging into this place. It has a higher average elevation change per kilometer than Bathurst. It sits at 59 meters of rise and fall per every kilometer. There's only 4 of those around this track as well, compared to Bathurst, somewhere right around the 56 meter per kilometer marker. So that tells you just the amount of rise and fall that's in this racetrack. It is challenging, it is narrow, and it is not a place that a supercar is adept to challenge, and therein lies some of the beauty. This is a home to sports car racing, motorcycle racing, endurance racing with the Petit Le Mans that runs here each and every year, and it's got a short, fast lap time. And realistically, I love this place because it's challenging. It works a driver over. It challenges you physically, mentally. It's kind of like a mini Bathurst Sandman, and this place is just a lot to take in on a high-speed lap.
Absolutely. Good evening, Scotty, and everyone, wherever you're watching around Australia or indeed around the world. That's right. You touched on this racetrack, and it lets me say one of my favourite sayings in commentating. This track has a little bit of everything, and I'm not lying this time, because it does. You touched on the elevation, the fast parts of the racetrack, and this is a track that I actually enjoyed driving around, and I feel like I've got it down pat until I get to the S's, and that's obviously the crucial part. It's at the start of your lap, you make a mistake in those S's, and you're pretty much trundling around the rest of the lap to have another crack at it. So, great little racetrack, and I think the V8s are going to turn on a bit of a show here tonight.
Situated just in between Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlotte, most of the way towards Atlanta, located in the Georgian countryside. You can see the amount of hills that are actually around this race, and additionally, running from the top end of the photo to the bottom end of the photo, there's a big old crest that runs right through that racetrack, and it goes through from turn 11, right at the crest of the hill, all the way directly across to turns 2 and 3. That's the high point on the lap as well. It is a gnarly one, to be sure. There's shorter layouts, there's motorcycle racing here. IndyCars, I believe, been here in the past as well. It's featured a format change, but it was originally opened in 1969. And I tell you what, I actually did some digging and some track stats about this one as well. They built the track and had it opened in less than 6 months because they just needed somewhere to put a race on. And effectively, that was the previous track they were going to host a racing meeting at, got closed. And it was all of a sudden like, well, we've got to find a new place to put a race on. We're already working on this racetrack. We were planning it. Well, you got to fast track that. You got to have this place together. It was built in 6 months. Think about all the time that goes into building a racetrack these days. It's years before you see anything. 6 months would be ludicrous these days.
Absolutely, and it's not the easiest racetrack to build either. When you talk about the undulations that you spoke about and the length of it. So 6 months is a fair effort, and I think we've got ourselves a pretty good racetrack.
That we do. What are we on board for, though, tonight in the 12 turns? Well, 13, 14, how do you count them? Because 10A and 10B, they're really 2 corners. Americans, make your damn mind up. After Road America, or what, the kink in between turn 1 and turn 2? And yet we've got 10A and 10B. They're not consistent anywhere, and that's my problem with the Americans. But we'll get back to that. We'll put that in the background. But tricky format. We talked about it last time out at Spa, how we're heading to the final of the Super Sprint formats. Exactly the same as, very similar. In fact, it's so close together. There's only a couple of little differences between the race format. It is going to be 2 21-lap races. Interestingly, there is just a fuel stop in there. Fuel mileage is right around 17 laps, so we're going to have 4 laps worth of fuel to add in both races. So 59.8 litre fuel tank restriction as well, don't forget. You're going to be offering half points for both of the races. Normally we offer 200 points for a race win. It's going to be 100 points available for the 2 separate races. So a little bit of a different mix in offer here tonight. And of course, don't forget, there's also going to be the split qualifying. Again, short lap, 4.2 Ks. Lap times we're seeing at the moment right on 1:20. So that sort of tells you, it's a short, quick fire lap time, 2 groups worth of qualifying for 45 drivers. If we only had the 24 cars that were actually in the main game of supercars, I guarantee they wouldn't have even split them. They just said, no, there's your problem, go out and deal with it. But I guarantee you as well, if supercars had the 45 drivers that we had, somewhere like Queensland Raceway, they actually might run a split qualifying session, you reckon?
Mate, if Supercars had the 45 drivers that we had, I think our series would be much more better than what currently the V8 Supercars have in the real world. But let's not get into that, because that's totally a different story. And I think it's an absolute joke that there's only 20-odd cars in a Australian Championship. But anyway, but it's going to be good. And the format, we loved this format last time out at Belle Isle, the sprint race. Something different, mixes it up a little bit, keeps all the drivers and teams on their toes.
Yeah, that it does, and it's going to be 76 points at the lead margin right now for Jared Filsell. Margin has closed fractionally back to Andrew Gilliam, who's starting to run him down just that little bit. Zach Rattray White has popped his way up into third in the championship. How about that? He's only had the one podium, though. You got to remember that. One podium for him. He's not necessarily been there and been launching up these mega results. He's just been that consistent right the way throughout the championship. You really kind of can't fold him. Sits third at the moment ahead of Madison down, ahead of Brady Myers. Damon Wood's still there deep inside the top 10. Josh Anderson, man, he's had one of those years where you're like, yes, it's going really well, and if a bit of bad luck comes his way, all of a sudden it all falls apart. And sorry, it was Jerez last time that we were out. That's exactly what befell him back at Jerez, and that opened the door. Griffin Garner sits at the back end of the top 10. And then this is the most important of the pictures. If you want to run in this series for 2026, this is the picture that you got to start thinking about. If you're on the positive side of that yellow line, that means that you are automatically locked in at the end of season 2025. Don't have to come through the pre-qualifying process. At the moment, Jordan Ross is the bubble driver, has it over Bo Albert by 12 points. Bo missed a couple races though, so he's actually back here through a little bit of, he's had issues with the sim and those sorts of things. So he's just sitting just below the bubble line after all of the issues he's had in the first half of the year. He's sitting there going, you know what? Actually not doing too bad after all.
And you know what's funny too? You look at those drivers, and you touched on the difficulty that he's had as far as being in the points, but they're no slouches. You got some good names there, and for them to be battling for that 20 bubble, just to have that automatic transition in for 2026, there's going to be a little pressure there. So tonight they'd really be keen to have a decent race under their belt, just to alleviate a little bit of that pressure coming into the Enduros.
Yeah, and wouldn't you like to do that? And one of the bigger things is, you just mentioned it, we're about to step foot into 3 Enduros, but more importantly for it, I actually want to extend a big thank you to the team behind Logitech, because I got extended a really cool invite to go down and be a part of Logitech G Play Days. What is it all about? You get exclusive deals right across anyone who supports the Logitech G products in the network from September 8th right through to October 6th. Additionally, this is the time of year when the brand new product lines and the new bits and pieces and the fan-dangled Whoosie Watsits and the new Watsy Bobs all start to come out from Logitech, culminating in the Logitech G Play Day event on September 18th. That's going to get held down in Melbourne. I'm on a trip down to Melbourne. I'm very keen to go down and be a part of that one, and might take some notes for you, Sandman. Off of Bo Albert is actually going to be down there, I believe, at that one, and there's a few other boys in the background of the sim racing world that I believe will be heading to that event. So big shout out to Logitech, who support this series, but also one of the most important parts of the year. And I get to say that because this is my favourite part of the year for new products, because I've been a Logitech boy since about 10-15 years ago, actually. So always been a Logitech guy at heart. Beautifully enough, as well, as we come to the back end of August as well, is the Gamesman code as well. There is still a little bit of time left in the month of August to get yourself some discounts on behalf of Gamesman as we kick through the back end of August, and we'll get the details for that one up on the screen right the way throughout proceedings here tonight, get you some more information. As we also have 2 split races, good opportunity to thank our sponsors in the midway as well. Qualifying, here it comes from Road Atlanta. Split quali means that we will have the back half of the championship out for the first 10 minutes of qualifying. 5-minute break, top half of the championship, let them loose to see who can steal that play seat pole position just before we get into the Gamesman grid walk as well. Road Atlanta, have a look at the pit building on the outside of the racetrack. This place plays host to Petit Le Mans all the way down in October each and every year. After 12 hours worth of racing, what can the V8 Supercars offer us here tonight? And again, the promo code for you looking for some new sim racing gear from thegamesman.com.au, GM Pro August 5% off all your products at checkout. Big shout out to the Gamesmen who support the series, and thank you for the support that they do lend us. Go and support them for making all of this possible as well. Here we go. Time to get out there and get after it in anger. And there's an opportunity to set a good lap time nice and early in their session, by the way. It is 10 a.m. in sim time, which means the best grip conditions actually might be up front because the track temp is only going up from here.
Yeah, that's right. And that's something that plays on the drivers and teams' minds, isn't it? You know, when a session starts and we've got half the amount of cars on track, but as soon as they start turning laps on this racetrack and it starts to warm up a little bit, there goes that slight little advantage that anyone would be hopeful for to have a little bit of a crack at. So they'll be trying to make the most of them. We always talk about how crucial it is to get a banker. You know, when a banker can be possibly the best conditions of the racetrack, it's really important more than any other time to get that done straight away.
Yeah. And let alone, I reckon this is one of those tracks you're actually not going to want all that much of a tow. The drivers have talked about all year how very little effect there is from the tow in these cars. But Road Atlanta is also one of those tracks where you actually want the splitter to be active at the front end of the race car. So there might be a few guys here who just look to just get out of the train. You obviously want every opportunity to get the laps together. And you're going to get about 3 or 4 of them here tonight in qualifying. Remember, qualifying 2 to come later on in the evening for the second race as well. So not just one and done here tonight. We'll have timing coming your way in just a few moments. In the meantime, Jack Wittes in the Racecraft Simulations 018 entry is going to be the first driver to lead us off in qualifying trim. A great opportunity for him to fire off nice and early and get that lap in. Looks strong through the first couple of sectors. And then through that hairpin, very, very tricky. You've got to use the curb as well to try and get the power down. And that's the tricky part about running onto the back straight here, isn't it, Sam? And using all the space, because you can use up to that curb. And then if you've got a car that handles that curb well enough, there is a little bit more track limits available to you.
Yeah, that's right. And like you said, using the curb, it's almost in our V8 DNA, isn't it? That we love that our V8s can bash up over curbs. And if you can get it right, there's so much, like you said, there's so much time to gain down that long straightaway because you are full throttle. You're almost maxed out in 6th gear. And that's where you want to be at, is that you want to be a nice run, keep that momentum all the way, and then benefit from that, just from that one corner. It can be massive.
I do want to point out, Hayden Veld is getting a lot of roughing up and support at the same time over in YouTube chat. We want you guys at home to let us know who you're supporting and who you are roughing up all at the same time, because to me, a little bit of larrikinism is a part of supercars, much the same way as beating and bouncing over curbs. For Brian Borg, blown engine
yeah,
at the end of the back straight, and it's uphill from here.
Oh,
if he can get over the crest, he will be able to roll it down into pit lane, and he'll be able to have another go at qualifying.
Jeez, he got lucky.
See what? He got there.
Yeah, and like you said, it was just over that crest, because once you get past that crest, you ride that hill all the way down. Lucky to get back to the lane, but that was just on the downshift, and it's actually a really cool part of the racetrack when you break into what they call 10A. You're full throttle all the way down that back straight, hard on the brakes, down the gears. Is that another motor, or is that just someone locking a tyre?
That was the tyre, I think. Pitch tyre. Lots of pitch brakes. Well, it might be an engine.
I think that might be another motor.
Indeed, it is. The Racecraft's, sorry, my apologies. Who is that? Sean McNamara? Indeed, it is Sean McNamara. He's actually getting a little bit of assistance from the bottle plate.
I don't know.
Well, this has never happened before.
Yeah. I thought that you had to probably come back without assistance, but we'll leave that up to race control. I don't know where we stand on that one, so that'll be interesting. But, geez, it's early session, and we've already seen 2 motor issues for drivers so far.
Well, for Posy, he'll start another lap, albeit there'll be a ton of junk on the windscreen for him. No, he's into the lane. So that was an abandonment of a flying lap for him. By the way, 5 minutes is just about to come up on the timer, so we are just about halfway through this session. In the meantime, of the first half of the field, we only have 13 valid lap times set. Ian Ford has got quickest of the lot. He's currently, I believe, on an in lap. So we're about to start seeing these guys fire back out for their second flyers. Lachlan Capel sits second, Jake O'Reilly from Jake Blackwell. Wittes is 5th, Dylan O'Shea 6th, Andre Heimgart is 7th, Ben Faulkner from Glenn Postlethwaite, Sebastian Vandel 10th, Terry Sorono, who is sporting a livery in support of his Victorian police brethren here tonight, and we will be more on that when we get through qualifying. So there'll be a check-in with that car as we get through.
Just briefly looking at the times, Ian Ford top on the timesheets at the moment with a 1:21.1. Just going back to practice, I think practice was a 20.6 done by Gilliam. So still a little bit more time there, but I tell you what, he'd be happy that he's actually leading this pack at this stage. But like you said, they're still going to have one more shot at it before this qualifying session is run and done. So there'll be a few people just taking that sigh of relief that they've got something on the board, but now it's whoa, a slide there for Borgie. He just got sideways and just went off onto the grass. People are just now trying to make the most of trying to get up that order as high as they can.
Yeah, and for the meantime, out laps, trying to get some temperature into those front tyres. The rear tyres don't need it, of course. They come up rather quickly with the amount of horsepower behind these things, but it's the front tyres you've absolutely got to bring in. It was Michael Taliancic, I did think it was Tally we were looking at earlier who had that issue. No, it was, remember it was Sean McNamara. In the meantime, though, Taliancic, a lot of attitude as he gets to the final corner, just barely keeps the tyres in play. Time goes very good. That's one of the best performances thus far this season for Taliancic, second on the board. 21.240. By the way, track temperature's gone up a degree. I can say with confidence. So there is a little bit of variance here in that weather conditions. This might be the best of the circumstances that we're going to get for this session.
Yeah, and that'll be something that the next split drivers will be thinking about too, because, if this track gets warmer and warmer, these times might be harder to get for the next group that go out. So very interesting to keep an eye on that. Ian Ford over Michael Taliancic and Lachlan Capel. They're your top three for the moment.
Lachlan Capel and Jacob O'Reilly both set to the 1,000th of a second at night, remember, allowing for rounding. 1 minute 21.255 from both of those drivers. Reminder, iRacing captures an additional digit. There is a 10,000th of a second captured, and it rounds it to the 1,000th of a second when it's displayed on some timing softwares. In the meantime, Ryan Jones, got a couple of messages from him prior to jumping into qualifying here tonight. Practice for this one was minimal. Andre Heimgartner's got a black flag with 2 minutes left in the session. That will probably be his session done. He's not going to be enough time to get back in, serve that one, and get around to start another flying lap. McNamara is coming through on this one. This might be a fly of him. Struggles for traction up and out of the chicane. It just wants to spit wheels. Putting the power down to the 10B. Line it up out of the final corner. 21.628. That is an improvement for McNamara. Moves him to 13th. In Ford, this might be another flying lap from him as well.
Yeah, he needs to improve on that 21.1 that he's already punched out. He's done a 21.19 as opposed to a 21.18. So he's there or thereabouts, hasn't improved, but Mr. Consistent, I tell you.
Well, he has improved on his practice time. So conditions in the track might not be too bad, or he just didn't nail it throughout the practice section. In the meantime, Capel up and out of the final chicane. I tell you what, there is so much attitude in those cars. They do not like accelerating up that incline.
Yeah, it's that mix of getting the car, obviously the car's got the load on it as you're getting through that chicane, and you're trying to get the power down as quick as you can, and it just wants to break loose on the rear. So everyone obviously really mindful of that, and it's that drag race to the finish line. You've only got this downhill section and this right-hander. As easy as that looks, that's almost one of the toughest parts of the racetrack, because you want to go through there carry as much speed as you can to finish that lap, and the car just wants to push naturally outside to the grass.
So for Andre Youssef, Dylan O'Shea's going to get a black flag. That'll be enough to end his session as well. So that will now be done for Dylan O'Shea. Ian Ford looks like he's going to have to set. I'm just not seeing if there's anyone on the lap at the moment. Hayden Veld just started a qualifying lap. He'll be the last driver because he got across the start-finish line. I think maybe Taliancic behind him actually got started on that lap as well. So it'll be very, very tight with a couple back there. Meantime, Youssef will continue this lap. There's actually a driver just ahead of him on track, which will be Cody Williams, who will get one potential valid lap timing in this session. He has had off track, so all of his previous laps, and this one will have to count for the Eclipse Sim Racing driver 994, who's just ahead of Yusuf here. He didn't want to tip in nicely. Now the final chicane, crest of the hill. That looked tidy though. Got the power down really, really nicely. Tipped it in, used all the track clips. So, and lap time gets delivered at the final corner for him. Kobe Williams though did set a valid lap time. Second, it's going to put him fourth slowest in the session. So there will be no higher for him than 18th. Then Hayden Vell gets back into a little bit of larrikinism and fun having from his perspective. He loves to do that as soon as the session's over. Rear tyres immediately get shredded on that car.
Well, it's going to be a nice jump up from Stenberg, who's got himself up into 8th in that group too. So there we go. Done, run and won. That's it. Split one of the qualifying is done and dusted for race number 1. Ian Ford takes out the pole over Michael Taliacic and Lachlan Capel. I say provisional pole because there's still the next group to go out. And look at the times, Scotty. That's incredible. The top, what are we, top 5, less than a tenth of a second.
What's that short fire lap time, isn't it?
Yep.
4.2 Ks, a little bit tough to separate them. But yeah, 0.3 of a second covers the top 10 drivers in that session. Outside there's O'Shea from Baldwin, Andre Yusuf, Varndell, McNamara, Postlethwaite, Faulkner, Ireland, Williams, Serrano. So 0.75 of a second back to 20th. And there's one driver outside the 20, which was Brian Borg. Just taking a quick scroll through the drivers, see if I noticed. Rick Kuznetsov did partake in the first half of that session, but did not set a valid lap time. Although I have a sneaking suspicion that was because he was in the wrong session. I believe Rick Kuznetsov's in the top half of the field. So that is the first half. We'll have a short break in proceedings here before we kick off the back half of qualifying one for the evening. And for Ian Ford, that's probably the best he's looked in a good while.
Yeah, and that's crucial for him though, regardless of, you know, what split you go out, you want to be quickest, and like you said, it seems to like he's finding a little bit of form of late. So good to see that he's got that pace, and it'll be interesting to see how it holds up as we go to the OG Gear replay. This looks like a test run into the pit lane. Hey, hold on to it, cowboy. He's just having a bit of fun there. Oh, he was. And then he lost it. I was almost going to praise him and say, gee, that was all right. You listen to him working the throttle, but round she went. She didn't hit anything, so that's all right.
Yeah, no marks on it. No scuffs on it. But
good to see the lads just letting their hair down as we wait for this session to start in just over a minute and a half's time.
I mean, perfect to note. Have a look at the elevation change in the background. Like, look at how high the haulers are, and how little of that hill they cover. There's what, 3 haulers from bottom to top.
Yeah, and that's still not the top. Yeah, you see it. Yeah, well, it's a different part of the racetrack. But there you go. That's a great camera shot there. Like, look at that elevation from top to bottom. And I was saying for me, I think that's the trickiest part of the racetrack because it's right at the start of the lap. And it can usually be a little bit of calamity corners, I should say, at the start of these races because everyone's bunched up. You're trying to get through the S's. But to get that perfect at the start of your lap, you know, I pretty much for myself, even though I'm not a very good race car driver, once I feel that I get that part of the lap done, I feel like the rest of the lap is pretty easy. But man, it's hold your breath to get the car suited and online for that and get down there as quick as you can.
Was doing... So turn 11, which is the crest of the hill, basically it's different numbers to our track. I'm just doing some quick Googling. But the drop from the crest of that hill to the start finish line is about 90 feet. So that's 30-ish meters.
I think it's one thing that a lot of racetracks these days are missing. We don't have these brand new circuits that have a heap of elevation. Obviously, it's coming down to location, and usually, you know, areas like this are pretty much snapped up by, you know, housing or whatever the case may be. So it's now tricky to find racetracks that have this much elevation. I think it's brilliant that we still have racetracks these days that have that, and I think it's a little characteristic that unfortunately the new tracks just don't have.
Give a comparison So effectively, Bathurst is 174 from bottom to top, right? So from right down the bottom at pit straight all the way up to the top of it, it's 174 metres worth of elevation change. But effectively also the drop from that crest at turn 11 as well to the start finish line is 30 metres. Well, Astoria building's about 3 to 4 metres, so somewhere between 8 to 10 stories from the crest of that final hill to the last corner is what should falling away. That's massive. You know, think about how many apartment blocks don't have 10 stories in them. In fact, there's no 10-story building where I live at all. It's just insane the level of rise and fall. So right here, watch from Jordan Ross, climb. Right there's the crest, and then you fall away 10 stories to this final corner.
This is about throttle control. Coming through that last corner to start his lap. This is on board Jordan Ross, and this is a great camera angle to give you that, just that view of what the drivers can see. And this is the elevation right over the driver's shoulder. You can't even see your apex. That's where you're at. It's just point and shoot. You know that there's an apex there, and you're blindly just trying to point the car there and get through there as quick as you can. Great little part of the racetrack, and feels awesome when you get it all together.
This part's so tricky as well, because you're going to go up over the curb on the left, bounce it all the way up and over the curbs on the right, and then there's a little crest and a little dip. Carry the brake in, a little bit of banking to help you here. Up to the curbs, you need to use the curbs to help you get in. Touch the curb on the inside, don't cross it. And you can see he's reticent to touch the curb on the outside before accelerating away down the back straightaway. This is the only brake on the lap, the only brake, and it's a reasonable one, because you're just fighting the wheel the whole way through those first and second sectors.
And when you've got a good race card right here, when you stamp on the brake, that's such a good feeling. You're down the gears, turn it in, and if it all hooks up and you can get the power down right here and don't lose the rear, which is exactly what Jordan didn't do, it's a good feeling. He's only got one more turn to go, and if it doesn't push too wide and touch the grass, hopefully it'll be a decent lap. Trying to beat a 121.1 from Ian Ford. He crosses the line with a 21.2, so he pops himself into P5. That'll change very quickly.
Track temp has now climbed another degree. So the track is going away. Adam Briggs might have blown a motor, which was Briggs right there in front of Rick Kuznetsov.
Oh, look where he is too. So he's got to try
Zach Brashery White's gone to the top. Madison Downs gone to the top. 20.943. Here comes the time. Start the tunnel.
Gilliam.
There is a 100th of a second in that pole position time at the moment. Gilliam goes to the top. Does he? Yes, he does. 16 thousandths of a second. There are just over 300ths of a second in the top four. Splitting noses.
How good is that? We caught up with Gilliam, didn't we, at Queensland Raceway for the latest round, well, for supercars, and yeah, he was saying how much he's loving his racing at the moment, and he's just proved there, watching it pumping out that time as we go to the OG Gear replay, and this is another motor. This is our third motor, and we've only had qualifying so far.
Did he not get in a pit lane here?
I think he's trying to finish his lap, hasn't he? He should have gone straight to the lane. Yeah, he tried to finish his lap, but what he needs to do now is clutch it to try and get all the way home. Because if he doesn't make it home, he'll be sitting out the rest of the pole. Here he is.
Is it gone?
He's going to use the shortcut. Yeah, that sounds like it's all dead, I think.
Just watching from the rear end. So his lap time didn't count. Rick Kuznetsov's didn't count as well. He's still got power. I can confirm for you, he still does have power at the moment. He's just using the elevation that he's got.
Curious about, here we go, OG Gear replay again. Listen. Through the gears, and you can see that engine just detonating. And he's just on board. He's just trying to get his lap. But I would have aborted and just gone home. I don't know why he would have carried on.
I agree.
No, I don't know the stories about that. But anyway, that balked him as well. So, and again, where's the rule lie that, you know, yes, he did cut the track. It's not obviously a timed lap. But it's obviously going to work in his favour because he's going to be able to get back to the lane and sort that car out. But yeah, could this be a sign of things to come? We're seeing early motor detonations.
Was that Hobson? No, it's Briggs. Okay. I thought that was Brenton Hobson that flashed up for a moment with the black flag. My eyes deceived me for a few moments. yeah, there will be a question about whether or not there's an issue with impediment there because Netsov, Brenton Hobson does have a black flag here, so he will have to drive back to the pit lane. Speeding on the way out of pit. Well, it was speeding at pit lane exit or alternatively an unsafe exit because you can touch the line.
So looking at 40's time, it's still held up so far. He's still P7 at the moment. So I think he'd be quite happy with that. He hasn't taken too much damage in that first round of, everyone's managed to get their banker. Still just under 4 minutes to go, and everyone's having their second crack now. Andrew Gilliam over Madison Down, Jared Philsell, Zach Rattray White and Griffin Gardner are your top 5. Emily sticks herself into the top 10 in 9th as well, so that's a good run there from Emily. But it's going to be interesting to see what these dying minutes give us as these teams get ready for the first race of 2 tonight.
And unfortunately for the series for this year and for Emily's championship hope, she's sitting in a great spot at the moment. The series has absolutely gone her way this year. But we'll be stepping aside at the conclusion of this race for the rest of the year, so we'll not be competing in the endurance campaign. So wishing Emily best of luck for the rest of the year, but yeah, this will be the final outing. Unfortunately, in the meantime, watching Griffin Gardner. This is his best looking qualifying car at the moment. Remember, just over a year ago, we were talking about all the prospects that this guy had in front of him. Joined Lobs Esports and immediately put the thing on pole back at Road America. He was over the moon with that, and then it was all over Red Rover before he got to the first corner. Well, not completely over, but the car was severely damaged, severely impacted after he just struggled crawling it off the line.
He wasn't quite happy. You see his first sector was great. Second sector went away from him, so he's aborted real quick. He wants to get out and try and start one more lap before time finishes.
Oh, Albert, will he improve on that lap? Yes, he will. 121.337. Good enough at the moment for... I'm actually just seeing there's a couple... Matthew Bowler's actually a bunch of spots. So Albert goes up to 21st. Jared Philsell goes to 3rd. This session is going up another half a degree. So it's definitely the best opportunity to get the lap time at the start end of the session. Madison Down will go ahead and put another flyer down. First of the drivers for the night into the 20.8. He will go to the top of the standing. Gilliam, I think he improved on that lap, to a 9.13. So I think there was a little bit of improvement. He did improve by 14 thousandths of a second. Brenton Hobson will be starting another flying lap here.
And Emily's moved up to P5 with that lap as well. So you were touching on that, this will be Emily's last race for the season. I'm gutted because she's finding some form. She's had a cracking season, qualified her way in to make the grid for this year, and currently P5. It's got to be her best qualifying effort for this series so far, and she's having an absolute cracker of a night tonight so far.
Yeah, there's a little bit of competition for drivers who aren't on a lap to try and get back out there and start a lap at the moment. Brenton Hobson coming through the hairpin to run down the back straight away. So he'll put the power down the back straight away. 21.720. We'll definitely want to improve from there at the moment. If he improves, well, I tell you what, if he improves by 0.2 of a second, he'll gain 10 spots.
I'm trying to look Josh Anderson back in 14th position at the moment, so that's not ideal. And if he's on a lap, or if he's about to start a lap, he was behind Hobson there, he'd be trying to make the most of that and try to jump up what he can as we're under 30 seconds to go. Hobbo just run that a little bit wide. You've got to be careful. So easy to get off track there and have that time bleeded.
Improved by 0.3 of a second, a bit more than 0.3 of a second as well. So the highest that he will be starting tonight for Brenton Hobson will be in 22nd spot, but that's a massive improvement from 38th. So Josh Anderson, though, a little bit of work to do at the moment. Currently sits 28 hundredths of a second back off Zach Rattray White, who's also on fly. Checkered flag is in the air. Session is now concluded. I can tell you, there's a bunch of cars that have started a lap. There's about 10 of them that we've got left to go. And you're looking at the second of them. There's the gold member car of Brenton Hobson, who is not on a lap. He's on a cool-down lap at this point in time. Jordan Ross is firing out of the final corner. He'll be the first one to come back down and through, but this will be the drivers with the last opportunity to try and improve their laps. For Ross, what has he got as he gets to the line? 21.286, which is not an improvement from him. He will not move up. Josh Anderson, here he comes. What has he got for us? As the 36 Chevy slides out of the final corner.
21.0.
Does improve by 0.2 of a second or something. All the way up to 7th spot. Dylan Rudd, no speed in that one. Out of the last couple of corners. Jake Maloney, here they come. Last couple of cars. Short fire qualifying session. Ethan Green got in the fence hard out of the final corner. Maloney will get the lap time together. Kuznetsov did as well. Dylan Pereira was their improvements. Ratro White didn't improve. And that is it. That is your field set for this one. Ethan Green Colt, 30th spot on the grid.
Yeah, not ideal. And while all that was happening, we were watching Anderson finish his lap. He jumped 7 spots in that, so finds himself P7. So it'll make him breathe just that little bit easier coming into race number 1. 21 laps to get us underway. And man, from 14th to 7th, he'll take that.
Qualifying in the books, or qualifying 1 in the books. So we are going to try and fire our way through this one quite quickly. Remember, Adam Briggs, no valid lap time set in that qualifying either. And he's going to start in the field. I believe Damon Mulqueen is an entry here tonight because there's been a few cars eliminated. So, excuse me.
Just have a look at some of the names throughout that list too. That just goes to show you. And when the pressure rises for these drivers, that it's such a short qualifying session, 10 minutes. It's basically you're getting 2 shots, maybe 3 shots at the title to get out there and get the job done. That's when the pressure starts to rise for these guys. But the guys and girls done a great job and gets us pumped up for race number 1. 21 laps, can't wait.
Righto. When I finish, inhaled in all my excitement a little bit of saliva, and we're going to go from the rear end of the field and walk our way forward. Brian Borg has put it on 42nd spot, 21st of the row of the grid. He'll start off alongside of Teo Serrano. These guys just over a second behind our race leaders. Kobe Williams is going to be out of 40th spot alongside of Christopher Ireland. Guarantee you he's not going to be all that happy with his qualifying performance. Inside now, that top 40 positions, Ben Faulkner will be out of 38th position. Glenn Postlethwaite will be off alongside of him. Moving touch forward, Sean McNamara. We saw his dramas in the early portions of qualifying. Nearly 3/4 of a second off the pace. Sebastian Varndell, 36th and 35th for both of those guys. Andre Youssef is going to be starting out of 34th spot. Brady Baldwin will line up alongside of him. Thank you for being Esports and SSR. Row number 17, row number 16, Dylan O'Shea alongside of Andre Heimgartner gives us the last row outside of the 30s. Ethan Griegold, this is a huge surprise, 30th. There will be work to do in this one. Best part of tonight's race proceedings, though, will be a second qualifying performance to come from him. Jack Wittes will start off alongside of him, just over half a second outside. Inside the half a second, covering 28 cars. How about that? Brady Myers will be lining up alongside of Kurt Stenberg on row number 19, all TTR row number 19. Dylan Rudd from Jake Blackhall, 26th and 25th spots, 0.003 of a second to decide those two guys. Brent Hobson and Bo Albert, probably two of the biggest content creators in the Australian Simverse, will line up alongside of each other on row number 12. Dylan Pereira will start alongside of Ryan Jones outside of the top 20. And for Ryan, you'll probably look at that one and go, you know what? We'll take that. I would have taken that if you'd have offered it to me at the start of the session. 20th spot now inside the top 20 for Hayden Veld, and Jordan Ross will be alongside of him. Again, 0.003 of a second separating the two cars on that row. Here's a row where they're separated by 0.001 of a second. It's Jacob O'Reilly from Lachlan Capel. And there'll be some news to talk about in some of these cars as we walk our way through the field. Damon Woods, probably one of his worst qualifying performances of the season, will start at a 16th spot. Michael Taliancic, one of his better qualifying performances, maybe a little bit aided by conditions. He will take that one. Ian Ford, pole in the first half of qualifying, gets him 14th when qualifying is all said and done. James Scott will line up alongside of him on the 8,000ths. Separating that row, 0.3 of a second, by the way, all the way back to 14th spot. Matthew Vola will start out of P12 for car number 12. How about that one for him? And Luke Rosella, winner last time out from Jerez, outside of the top 10. A little bit of work to do for him. Rick Kuznetsov will start off alongside of Wayne Burke. Here comes your top 10, 10th to 9th. Have a look at the time jump here in that row, though. 900ths of a second. Big jump, big time gap there. Another row separated by 1,000th of a second. It's the Trans-Tasman teammates, Jake Maloney, Josh Anderson, who set that lap late in the session when it was really required. Great job to get that one together. Griffin Gardner will start a little bit further up, and I believe he'll be the furthest ahead of the Chiefs esports cars in 6th spot. Great qualifying performance from him. Emily Jones, 5th spot last night in the championship. She'll be disappointed. She'll be walking away from this one after qualifying on P5. We'll step a little bit further forward. Here comes your top 2 rows. Zach Rattray-White will start it off alongside of Jared Philsell. These guys less than a 10th off of pole position. And the front row, here it comes. Who got your play seat pole position? Andrew Gilliam missed out by 300ths of a second. Madison Down takes it out. Get your play seat pole position. He is on standby right now with Sandman.
Yes, I've made my way to the Trans-Tasman VRS Chevy on the front row of the grid, Madison. Best start of the night. Everyone wants P1. You got it, mate. How was quali for you?
It was better than expected. I knew we probably had a reasonable car for tonight, but I did not expect to be sitting on pole position. So, yeah, look, credit to everyone at TTR for putting together a good setup in the last few days, and yeah, I was able to make the most of it there in quali.
You touched on that, and I was going to say your TTR teammates are hanging in there too. Great run from Emily Jones in P5. Then you got Anderson and Maloney back in 7th and 8th. Like it's like you said, I think TTR's maybe hit on something tonight.
Yeah, big shout out to Emily. Like a top 5 result is awesome for her, and yeah, to have some friends up here in the top 10 is great. But look, there's yeah, I guess this race here with a 1 CPS, we'll see how we go. It's going to be a short but action-packed one, I think, and yeah, look forward to it.
And your thoughts coming in tonight? How's this track sit? Obviously, it sits a little bit better on the excitement scale when you grab pole position. But your thoughts coming in tonight? Is it a good track for you, or is it a bit of a voodoo?
Mixed results here, but this is a track that I know and love. This car really suits Road Atlanta, and we've been coming here almost every year for 15 years now at the Supercar Series, so in iRacing. So yeah, it's really a staple of all the calendars, and yeah, it's always puts on pretty good racing, plenty of passing opportunities here. So yeah, I think we should see a couple of good races.
So touching on that, so two sprint races tonight. So I guess you'd be wishing that it was just one quali session for tonight, but they've got another quali session later. Fingers crossed everything goes for this one, but you're excited about the 2 race format, something different?
Yeah, something different, and short, sharp races as well with that compulsory pit stop. A little bit of strategy options as well, which is really good. So yeah, look forward to it and try and get off on the right foot tonight and in race 1 and see how we go across the whole night. Hopefully some good results.
All right, all the best, mate. That TTR Chevy looks good up front there, mate. Hopefully it stays that way, and we talk to you towards the end of the night, mate. But until then, all the best.
Thanks, guys.
There you go, Madison Down. And Scotty, you've gone for a walk down to P16. I believe you caught up with Damon Woods.
Yeah, I have, mate. 16th spot, a little bit deeper in the field than you've qualified thus far this season. Obviously, this is a track you would have done millions and millions and millions of laps in terms of GT3 hardware, but getting that traction down and just managing things is not easy. It's a car that's a little bit more inclined over the curbs, but how have you faced the challenges this week?
I mean, put me back in a GT3 car. At the moment, I'm not really enjoying this car. It just doesn't really do anything you want. Doesn't steer, doesn't put power down. So, unfortunate. But yeah, we'll make the most of what we can from P16. I mean, we'll see what the CPS does. I mean, only a 9-litre refuel, so no one's going to take tyres. So it's going to be an interesting fuel-safe race, I think. But yeah, we'll see how we go.
In terms of the challenge, the sprint races obviously bring our way. This is going to be an interesting one to try and get the car down. You're starting here in the kink. Getting this car launched, I think, is going to be the first problem. Yeah,
I mean, it's not ideal having to steer and accelerate. But yeah, I think we'll just try and minimise the wheel spin and see where we end up by T1.
All right, mate. Best of luck. Go hard. Unfortunately, we've got to shorten the gridding procedure here tonight. Good luck.
Too easy, boys. Have a good one.
Now, before we get into racing for tonight, the series, the admins and everyone involved, and the reason we wanted to highlight Teo Serrano as a part of this pre-race show, the entire series and the entire Australian audience, as well as the public, want to take a moment to wish the sincerest of thank yous to the 2 officers who have given their lives in the course of duty this week. And for that reason, we are going to take a minute of silence starting right now. once again, we as a series want to spend our push on our heartfelt condolences to the families of the 2 police officers who have given their lives in the course of their duty. Teo Serrano is a member of the Victorian Police Force, and as such is taking the opportunity here tonight to honour the lives of his fellow VicPol brethren. Again, you know, it's out in Porapunka. If you haven't heard about what's happened, do consult media outlets. Righto, 15 seconds before we get fired off into turn 1. The challenges of Road Atlanta. Have a look at the amount of cars that are starting on an angle out of that final corner. In fact, the last car that's maybe not on the kink is Luke Rosella in 11th spot. Everyone behind him is going to have to face trying to get the power down, as well as turning their race car. Getting the torque to the floor is the problem. It's a quick fire shoot down and into turn number 1. The revs are going to start to rise here in just a few moments from Road Atlanta. 21 laps here tonight. And a quick fire off into turn number 1. Who's going to get the power down? Andrew Gilliam's been on a hot streak. Can he continue that run of form? Can Madison Down shake him off? Down does not going to go grit away. Gilliam does. The best start of all 3 is Jared Filsell at a P3. He's going to Madison Down on the run of turn number 1. And Andrew Gilliam's on a hot streak at the moment, and he is going to lead us through turn 1. Up and over the hill. Who's going to try and find their way through? Rattray White's trying to go around the outside of Emily Jones, who cuts her way through into P number 4. Griffin Gardner's had a reasonable getaway as well. He'll lock himself in, and they'll all try and get through there. There was that 3 wide deeper in the field. That's not going to work through the S's.
Like teammates coming together too, but they've managed to get away. Oh no, there's more contact. There's a car. Was that Ross? No, they've managed to cover it up. So it looked like Jordan Ross was having his all sorts of pressure there, but they've managed to get away with it nice and clean. Madison will be kicking himself, just bottling that start a little bit, and he's dropped 2 spots, and he's got Emily Jones right behind him. So they'll be able to push on now. 21 laps is a very short, quick race around here, so they can't.
They got the hairpin. And it's rotated Dylan Rudd. He's going to catch it. Still going to get into contact with Jack Wittes, who's going to check him up. They're all going to go tripping over each other around. Was that Andre Hyman? I think it was. Dylan O'Shea's hard on the fence.
More cars. There's more cars on the left-hand side.
Oh, huge.
The big ball up. Oh, no, Teo's caught up in it as well. This might be a safety car. A lot of damaged cars on that back straight. Not what we were expecting on that part of the racetrack.
No, that is a lot of cars. Serrano's caught up in it. He's going to have to come to pit lane. How many of them? It looks like Serrano's the only one with the meatball flag requiring damage repairs. Madison Down put it on pole, but he's lost 2 spots. And I tell you what, the last time we came here was back at the end of the season in 2023. At that point in time, he was covering a championship. He had the lead. All he had to do was survive. I think he had to finish about 20th or something. And he lost spots. He put it on pole then, lost spots on the way to turn 1, and it all went his way from there on out. So he won't be too mindful of this. Good pace early on. Serrano gets it back to pit lane. It was Andre Heimgartner. Andre Eustace, so the 2 Andres in the field go to the tail.
Man, I'm surprised that Heimgartner hasn't got more damage, because that looked like that took a massive hit to that inside concrete barrier, but maybe he just hit it enough, thought it was just flush and he can sort of push on. But here we go. We watch the OG Gear replay. This is up at the start. No, this is towards the... No, this is where all the drama starts. Coming to the back there. That's what you were calling, Scotty, as it was happening live, that they were all trying to gather themselves up. Look at them 3 wide here. Bang, a little bit of touch, and that's when Heimgartner gets slammed straight into that back wall, and then there's more drama. Everyone else getting caught up. Massive, and see Teo absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Mate,
I wonder whether David Moultrie, he's making his debut in the series here tonight as a main game driver, which is also another problem for Synergy Sim Racing, because that's a driver they now can't use in the Enduros.
When we were talking about the in quali, I expected the drama to be up here through the S's. Yes, we saw a little bit of drama, but everyone managed to gather it up and get on with it. I didn't expect it to be down that back straightaway.
Sean McNamara is going to jump in for the undercut. He's trying to jump out of the queue, is what he will be thinking. His qualifying didn't go the way he wanted, and he's definitely getting held up. And the best way to do that, there'll be no tyres taken here either. There's nowhere near enough fuel. You're going to add 4 laps of fuel. You need about 18 litres worth of fuel. That's not going to cover it.
Yeah, and as much as, the tyres will fall off a little bit, but for what you're going to gain as far as that fresh tyre compared to the time you'll lose putting them on, it's probably not worth it. So that's it. get the pit stop over and done with, get some clear air, and who knows, if there's some more drama and there's a safety car bunches the field up, you know, it could get real interesting.
Okay, so here's another replay. This is Jordan Ross. We're just looking at this is the S's lap one.
Yeah.
So what's going on? So this is actually the car ahead of him, and then is that Bo Albert who's just going for a car up the inside? So it's Dylan. So my Dylan Pereira we're actually watching. Dylan Pereira. So this is Dylan Pereira back here that we're looking at now. Yeah. So it's Jake Blackhall rotates Pereira. So you can just see. So it's Jordan Ross we were watching before, and that's Dylan Pereira's car. How close together those two race cars are. That's Jordan Ross. There's nothing between those two cars. And that was Bo Albert who got the inside and gave him an elbow on the exit.
So that's where I expected all the calamity corner to happen, not on the back straightaway. But never mind, we'll put that behind us now. Gilliam there trying to hold off Jared Filsell. Nice and tight, and always has been between these two. So Gilliam can sort of breathe a sigh of relief that he's got a teammate there, but knowing that how hungry Filsell is, he's been an absolute firecracker this season as far as the amount of wins he's got. He's almost actually dominated the series as far as wins. And tonight will be no different. He'll just sit for a little bit, maybe see what happens to Gilliam, and if he makes that little mistake, Jared will bounce really quickly.
And Jake Blackhall was that contact we just saw with Dylan Pereira. He's going to pick up 10 seconds for that one. Additionally, and worthwhile pointing out, is remember that moment in qualifying for Adam Briggs in front of Rick Kozletsov? There was 10 seconds to be added to his first race time for that one to be added as well. There will be an opportunity to try and serve it at the pit stop if you can. If there's a safety car, you definitely want to serve it at the pit stop because that's when it costs you big time. James Scott, I have heard his name mentioned and mentioned and mentioned and mentioned this week. And it's not in the Chiefs Esports clubs where there's a lot of murmuring, and there was two teams that I heard that were going their separate ways at the end of the year. And it was the squad of 3 drivers that had formed at the end of last year. James Scott, Griffin Gardner, Dylan Rudd. Remember, they've got the number 1 car this year in terms of Dylan Rudd. This is Anderton, picked up a slowdown, and he's trying to make it difficult for Burke to get by him. And he was on that spot.
He's only managed, he's lost 1 spot since the start of the race. He started P7, so he's back to 8th. So he had a good start, but he had to give up a couple of those positions. But always hurts when you get those little slowdown penalties, unfortunately. But it wasn't too bad. He's managed to get away with it. So let's head down and bum up as we get on board with Bo Albert back in 19th position. I know he would have been hoping there to be a little bit higher on the grid, but his work cut out now as this race goes on. And then I guess everyone starts thinking about when they're going to do their pit stops, because we did say that they've obviously got that mandatory pit stop. It's just going to be a quick splash, and you'd think, like we've already seen, some drivers that are stuck in traffic, maybe bite the bullet and get that over and done with so you can race with some clear racetrack.
Yeah. Particularly if he's getting held up. Stepping out. Last couple of corners. Ethan Green-Galt's actually gained a ton of spots. Remember, he was 30th, so he's up into the high 20s, low 20s now. That's a big, big gain for him. And he'd be another one of those drivers I'd be looking at and going, if you're going to undercut, the big thing for Greg Galt is have a look at a few of the other drivers, because remember, Bowler qualified quite well up there as well. And Matt Bowler drove a lot of Porsche over the last couple of years. So when they were talking about car skills and what this translates across to is Porsche Cup is actually a fairly good transition. Transitions reasonably well. It's sort of a hybrid between the Gen 2 supercar and a Porsche Cup car. Just takes them a grip away from it. So the Bowler, that fell right into his wheelhouse and where he wanted to land. Of course, remember, he would love for me to stop calling him the larrikin of Aussie Sim Racing. He wants it known that he is the Victorian State Esports Champion of Sim Racing.
I'd want everyone to know that too if I had that title. I'd have it embroidered on a t-shirt, I reckon.
Look, we know people who can get it embroidered on a race suit, by the way, if you're lifting with you, Bowler.
Oh, mate, the amount of people that come up and expected me to wear that race suit at Queensland Raceway a couple of weeks ago, that was hilarious. But didn't wear the race suit, wore the shirt, and how good was it to catch up with a few people that are currently racing in our series. It's good. The iRacing family sort of reached out and we said hello to a few people. It was really good.
One of the best guys to talk to was Josh Anderson. Actually, my girlfriend walked up to him and said, "Man, your interview," because she listens along to a fair few of the shows as well. Your interview back at Road America, loved how open and honest he was, and that's the big thing. You can walk up to Ando just after he's climbed out of a Toyota 86 and he will talk candidly at you. The problem is when he's getting passionate about his racing is getting him to stop talking so he can go away and meet other people as well across the weekend. Loves talking race cars, and the amount of people we bumped into across the weekend was much the same as that as well. But for the meantime, these two at the pointy end of things are starting to put a little bit of daylight between them. Now have a look at Gilliam, just a little shadow. It wasn't a huge cover. He wasn't covering clear air because as soon as he went defensive into the chicane, you knew he'd be at threat. But it was just enough, just an awkward position of the car to disincentivize Phil Sell from trying to rotate back at him. Ian Ford has climbed a few spots since starting. Now he's looking at Michael Talli's. Actually, Talli's managed to grab him up on the first couple of laps or so. Because remember, this was your top two from qualifying, or split one of qualifying one for the evening. And they're now around the other way. Greek Gold does dive for the undercut. He's going to get into pit lane. And the debate about tyres as well, whether or not there is tyres or you take tyres. Because you're going to take the time penalty up front, but you're going to have a great race tyre for the remainder of the race. We're getting towards the halfway mark, and a 50-50 split might be the way to go. There's no way the Lobs Esports guys up front put on the same.
It's funny you said that because I was just thinking to myself as you were talking, I was like, I wonder if there's chat between, we just watched the two TTR cars go battling out. This is Jake Maloney and Josh Anderson. But I was wondering if there was any inside communication between the team, between Gilliam and Phil Sell about are they going to share info when they pit? Are they going to pit on their own accord? It's going to be interesting to see because obviously they don't want to trip over each other. And if Gilliam's coming in, I think Phil Sell would like a nice clean run into pit lane and hopefully maybe make up a tenth or so, maybe under brakes. And you can't do that if you've got a car right in front of you. So it'll be interesting conversations between those two and how that's going to play out.
Just taking a quick look at chat rooms, by the way, and the amount of support that is in that Lobs Esports Discord chat, by the way. There are 3 drivers in the chat room, 4 engineers is the amount of support they're getting from the team at the moment.
He's a gold member. He's decided to dive off into pit lane. Hayden Veld on screen as well. And we do love this shot, straight over the driver's shoulder. It gives it a real indication of where they need to position their car around this tricky racetrack. Blind cresses.
I do wonder if there is ever a drifting prospect in iRacing, just how far Hayden Veld might go. Because he practices at every available opportunity.
That's a couple of things I think iRacing need, is drifting, which I think it'll come one day. And I'd like to see a bit of NHRA drag racing or something, that'd be good.
Jake Blackwell just jumped on the microphone and said his 10-second penalty from the pit stop has been served as well. Phil Sell's closer that lap. So Gilliam's pace is starting to go away from him. It's not much. There's very, very little in it.
I think if I was Jared, I'd pit. Because it looks like he's got pace over Gilliam. So whether Gilliam's just sort of holding station and not maybe worrying too much, but I think just from the looks of it, if I was Team Phil Sell, I'd probably pit first, get that stop over and done with, and get some fresh air for Jared.
Just seeing a few drivers in the pit lane. Hayden Veld's one of them. Carl Albert picks off another. Moves his spot further up on 458 of Sebastian Vandel. And Vandel didn't fight that one too much. I think he knew that one was coming. And the best thing he could do for his race at large was just let one go and not let it become 2, 3, 4. And Vel feeds back out. Jordan Ross is now the lead of the cars who have done their first stop.
Yeah, so like 10 or 21, Phil Sell's right there. Is he going to get him under brakes? He looks racy.
Look, he just keeps covering him.
Yeah. I don't know if he's been cheeky and just trying to put the pressure on him or what, but no, I'd bring him in. Oh, there we go. So our leader's gone in. So it looks like Gilliam was first to blink.
Right in the lane. But what whether or not was the communication from the leaders? Look, you need to go in the pit lane so I can run hard. Either dive in the pit lane or let me go.
Well, I'd be more like if it was Phil Cell had the pace, you'd box and then just come out and run with that clear air. But yeah, so Jared's now leading this pack over Madison down, Emily Jones to top 3. It's all going to start to mix up now with these pit stops.
Here they come into pit lane. So Phil Cell's on the lane. That car's on the ground. Right, there it is. Chops down on the ground. So I wonder whether or not he might have thought about taking tyres. Adam Briggs has just jumped on the radio at the moment. And Adam Briggs is confirming he has served his penalty as well. So those two drivers that picked up 10-second time penalties will feed back in where they're meant to. Bowler's now out of the pit lane. Gilliam's dropped out, so Gilliam becomes the leader of the guys who have pit. But yeah, there is, I tell you what, silly season. Well, remember the silly season when all of a sudden we saw all these Vermilion Sim racing cars, all of a sudden you get snapped up and Gilliam's going to go toe-to-toe with Emily Jones. Sorry, my apologies. Griffin Gardner.
Yeah.
Toe-to-toe. And Emily goes, yep, I'm going to sidestep this one and get out of this.
So TGR teammate behind her as well. They've decided to, that's Maloney who's jumped in, Wayne Burke in as well. So this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. And how much longer is Jared Philsall going to stay? I think the pace that he's got, he'd probably just stay out. He'd be quite content with that clear air. Like you said, I wonder if tyres were taken. But what was it? It was a 9-second stop, I think. So it might just be fuel.
My concern is Madison down, hitting him into that window as well. Is the reason, but Madison's starting to fall off a little bit. It is 0.8 of a second, and so when I say fall off a little bit, it's not really falling off a little bit, but starting to drop back.
Usually one of the characteristics of Phil Cell pitting is, you know he's close because he'll start punching out some laps, but that's him using up his tyres. So it might be a different story tonight where he still needs to look after the tyres because he's not going to change them when he stops. So maybe a different run, but yeah, it's funny when you say he's pulling away, but the margin's what, 6 or 7 tenths.
He's just starting to pull away a little bit. Madison pulled it back there, though. I think Madison's going to pull the pit lane. That explains why we're starting to see funny numbers in the timing tower.
That's good.
So leader presses on. Griffin Gardner will go through as well. Rosella, Kuznetsov all through. James Scott's gone through. Woods. Taliancic, Lachlan Cable, Jacob O'Reilly. Yeah. And this window is only open for about another 4 or 5 laps or so. You can get as far as lap 18.
Some people will think, why would you have a race engineer or something in your channel if you're racing in these short 20 lappers? But you can have someone that's watching the people that you're racing with. You can get someone to watch those pit stops and work out whether they've taken tyres. You can work out how much fuel they've taken, and you can probably start thinking about your own strategy and possibly adjusting that. Do you shave your fuel by 1 or 2 litres or something to try and jump them, or save a little bit where you can? So it's interesting to have those drivers that have that kind of help in the background. It makes a massive difference, and that's exactly what these teams will be doing, is seeing what the people around them have been doing in the pit lane. Have they been making these tyres or just taking fuel?
We're hearing Brian Borg's done something different to those around him. 6.8 seconds was a very, very short pit stop time for Borg. So has he gone for the no tyres, low fuel run? And remember, if he was back in the pack in the first portion of that race, whereby they were all checking up, there would be an opportunity for him to take a pit stop that was perhaps with a little bit less fuel on board.
Speaking of that, Gilliam's coming round. Sorry, mate. Jared Philsell's in the lane. Gilliam's going to jump in massively. Is this right?
So Gilliam's got leading by a fair way, yeah.
So
which says to me that might have been tyres at the stop then for those guys. So they're that concerned that the tyres are going to fall off that much that they had to take it. Interesting.
Yeah, I expected it to be a lot closer on exit but then when I saw that fuel cell was still in the lane, yeah, interesting, very interesting. So everything's still to shuffle out. It's still Gillian, who we essentially our race leader at this stage, and Emily Jones right to the back of Madison down.
She's getting a lot as well.
Mate, I was mega disappointed when I didn't know that Emily's going to be stepping aside out of the series after tonight. I think she might want to change her mind after the form that she's got going tonight. She's only gotten better as the series gone on as we go to the OG Gear replay, and this is a move with Anderson up the inside, and he'll get the job done there. But yeah, it's like she's really coming into form at the moment, so it's a shame that she's going to be stepping aside.
All the best to her. Update from Brian Borg, and remember we had the chat on Friday night with Jack Vlahovic, who's working with Momentum Motorsports, and Jack's actually jumped on board with both Brian Borg and Jack Wittes to help engineer their supercars for the remainder of the season. Brian Borg's car didn't take fuel, which is the reason for the funny number. So he may actually have to come back to pit lane. Still waiting on pit stops now for Griffin Garner, Rattray White, Dan Woods, Jacob O'Reilly, Brady Myers, Dylan Rudd. It's 6 cars. Some of them relevant to positions. I wonder whether or not they're just goal hanging a touch here. From maybe a safety car. Down the inside goes Taliancic on Bo Albert. And this has been the big thing about Bo Albert's car this year, is quite a lot of times his qualifying pace hasn't been there. And he just takes a swing at the strategy and makes it work.
He's going to be under a bit of pressure here from Hobart. He's looking a little bit racy. I wonder if he's going to make a dive up the inside here if he gets a chance. He's carrying a bit of speed. Yeah, Bo's going to make him work for it and go around the outside. So he's not going to give it to him, but he wants to hang in there. And if Hobson can get to the first half of the corner, he'll be up the inside. That's exactly what he's been able to do. So Bo's going to lose his spot here, and he might lose a couple.
Well, Ian Ford actually got into the back of Brenton Hobson, and right as Hobson was trying to put the power down, he couldn't quite get it there. Jared Philstell's going to go ahead and set fastest lap of the race. That says fresh tyres for me. But we've got this little battle pack, and this is on the fringe of the top 20. Albert sits 19th on the road as there's another car in pit lane at this point in time. Wants to hang on to it, but now there's a chalk of cars crewing up behind him. And for Bo Albert, he's become the man at the head of the queue. Does this mean he's manning the tills here tonight? If you're going to get past him, you're going to have to pay him for the privilege of doing so.
How lucky Capel holding on to that when he's got on the power and you can hear the tyres line up. He was holding on to that thing like a bucking bronco. He did a great job.
Greg Galt's now brought onto the back end of this one as well, so he's going to come attached. Have a look at the margin between them all. The big thing for me is when I get into these little battles here, is I stop breathing them. I start holding my breath.
I do too. I do too.
Oh, look at Hollow, just cool, calm. How's it going? Not even a suck it in on the straight, not even talk to him. There was a quick look at data, and then he knew he's good on fuel. Don't need to look at data. Ford tries to make the Evolution Racing Team Mustang big in the mirrors.
Don't look at the data, just keep a look at the rear view mirror, because 40 is right there as we go back up to the front. So Brady Myers still out there. He's still yet to make his pit stop.
Ford made a mistake.
This is our race leader.
In Ford got a slowdown penalty, by the way, and that's allowed Lachlan Capel to dive on through. Did O'Reilly get by as well? He did not, but he has jumped ahead of Greg Galt. Because remember, Greg Galt was one of those cars that took the early pit stops. The tyres is looking like it's actually making some benefit. Yeah.
It was
left. Now Gilliam has been caught by Phil Sell. Myers was the only car to go to the end of lap 17. So one more pit stop left to come.
We spoke to our pole sitter Madison Down at the start of this race on the games for Grid Walk, And he said that, well, as we watch this, Phil Sell is going to look to the outside. He's going to go the long way around Gilliam. They're both going to be late on the brakes as Phil Sell got it off. Oh, he's done it under brakes. He's positioned the car nicely. He's going to take the lead. It's Jared Philsell taking it over Andrew Gilliam.
But he didn't get the traction. He did not get the power down, and Gilliam cut him a break. He cut him a break because he could have gotten back up and into that bar and just unsettled him a little bit more and forced the rear tyres to light up some more. But he cut him a break.
Oh. Now, I did say that this is the leaders, and essentially it will be once Brady Myers makes his pit stop. So he's still another 9 seconds up the road, but a great little battle between Jared Philsell and Andrew Gilliam and teammates there. So we go back to here. It's Griffin Gardner, Jake Maloney. Looking a little bit racy here. I wonder if Jake's just starting to fall back. It looks like Griffin Gardner's now on the move because it was all the TTR cars there for what essentially would be 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th at one stage. But Zach Rattray-White, Griffin Gardner, they're all starting to come into the mix now.
Now that we are, Philsell's pressing on. So Myers has gone to the end of 18. So he didn't just go to the end of 17. He's going to make this a very, very quick splash and go. So Philsell cut his way through. He's gonna take the win from race number 1.
I think for Myers, he's just going to come in and just do a splash of fuel and get on with it with 4 laps to go. The 3 as they cross the line now. Should be in this time by, and indeed he is. So that will cleanse the field of pit stop strategy. In race 1, a reminder, there's another 21 laps to come at the conclusion of this one. Bo Albert picks himself up 5-second penalty, so it was for gaining advantage of car number 45, but I believe that's been short. So car 45 something. And it'll be 458 will be the only one, which will be Sebastian Van Dell. And there is damage to the end of the 458 as well. His wing is exceptionally better on that car. Yeah, so Brody Myers was suspected 6.2 stop, so he's just done that splash of fuel that he needs and got on with it. So seeing that and the times that Philsell, Gilliam, they were all sort of 10-second mark, so they've all got something they've gone for time. So, but it's up front. It's been the Jared Philsell show for this year, hasn't it? For 2026, he's dominated our series, and I think what he wants to do is just give himself that little bit of breather as we come into enduros, because we all know the heartbreak he went through last year at Bathurst that cost him essentially a title, and he'd be hoping to redeem himself this year, and it's going to be hard to stop.
Well, I think one of the interesting points was coming out of the last round at Morev. Ethan Greengold's got damage of some description. Has he popped a motor? Don't tell me. No, there's a front right tyre.
Massive damage. That front damage and right front damage. So he's nosed it into the wall somewhere. Massive damage. So his night's over. He's had massive contact. So this is up through the S's as we go to the OG Gear replay. Oh, he's seen... Oh no, this is an inter-team contact, is it? And that's that damage that he had before. Yes, he's made contact. And he's going to make massive impact there to that concrete barrier, and that's destroyed that right front. Like I said, his night's over. Massive damage to that car.
After picking up a Hyundai Excel National Championship, things in the sim world have not gone his way this year. Well, that's okay. He'll take one and give up the other, for sure.
Jared's up front now, putting on a clinic to his teammate Andrew Gilliam. And then back, we've got Madison down. Emily Jones is in the thick of it, trying to hold on to a top 4. This will be her best result of the season. Right behind her, Zach Rattray-White, looking very racy, I should say, sorry. And then we've got Griffin Gardner as well. So, Emily, can she hold on? This would be a perfect way if she's leaving the series. What a way to go out on a high for tonight. Obviously, still one more race to go in another qualifying session, but running P4 for the moment for Emily. And she'd be praying that she can just hold on just for a little bit longer.
Think about the battle for points as well. In third and fourth spot is Rattray-White over Madison down at the moment. So even though Emily Jones is sitting in the middle of them and walking away, this is actually really, really important for Madison that she stays there for this race, because that's points over Rattray-White. Ryan Jones picks up a 15-second penalty, and that was contact with Jack Wittes. Did you see that one come through? Yeah, so Jack Wittes contacting that one. That will ruin his race because he qualified exceptionally well, remember? was right up and in the pointy end, and that 15-second penalty actually is not going to cost him all that much. It's going to cost him 3 spots. He's fallen all the way to 34th spot, so it's not going well for Ryan Jones in the race. Qualifying did work for him. For Jared Filsell, though, in the meantime, nice and easy. Crawl it out of the hairpin, take a breath, take a sip, and enjoy the run down to the 10A, 10B chicane before you'll climb and fall 10 stories on your run to the finish line. It's been his story this year. Wants it back, needs points going into the Enduros just to create that little bit of a margin, a little bit of a buffer. Final couple of corners. When you look historically at the super sprint rounds we have in the championship, one name does tend to rise above them all, and it is Jared Filsell. Over the years that we've been running this format, he has been there and right amongst it just about each and every time. You're hard pressed to find a race he's not among the results, and something will have had to have happened to prevent him from taking home a bank of points. Bo Albert did hang on to that whole little battle pack. Haydenveld was the only driver to cut his way through him, and Cape was going to cross the finish line, albeit off the track. Rudd will get home just ahead of Pereira. Chris Ireland's going to slot in behind Kobe Williams. So for Williams, he'll be okay with that one because he did gain spots. Walking wounded, Ethan Greg Gold, Andre Heimgartner, Andre Youssef, Teo Serrano, Ben Faulkner had issues, and Dylan O'Shea after the first lap. First couple laps for O'Shea. He only did a couple from race number 1. Focusing on race 2. And that gives us racing from Road America in race 1 of the evening. But that's only half the points awarded and half the racing to go. Another 86 kilometres to come before we'll be done here tonight. Before that, another qualifying session as well. Confirmation of your race results. Phil Sill from Andrew Gilliam, Madison Down, Emily Jones, Zach Rattray White, Griffin Gardner from Jake Maloney, Josh Anderson home out of 8 spot. Slowed down a crucial moment early on in the piece for him. Did cost him in the end. Luke Rosella and Wayne Burke, your top 10. Outside the 10. Damon Woods climbs a few spots from his grid position to finish in 11th. Rick Kuznetsov for James Scott, Matthew Bowler, Michael Taliancic, best result of the season. He will be over the moon with that one. Jordan Ross from Brady Myers, Hayden Veld, Bo Albert home in 19th, Brent Hobson, year 20. Outside the 20, we get back to Lachlan Capel, who finished and crossed the finish line off the track. From Jacob O'Reilly, Ian Ford, Kurt Stenberg did manage to put in a reasonable result, picked up 3 spots as well. Brady Baldwin actually gained 8 spots. That's a reasonable run from race number 1 for him, 33rd to 25th. Dylan Rudd, Dylan Pereira, Glenn Postlethwaite, Kobe Williams, Chris Ireland as well, back to 30th spot. 14 more drivers to go from Sean McNamara, Adam Briggs, Widdus, Ryan Jones, Damon Mulqueen came from the rear of the field at 35th to be okay with that one. Blackhall, Borg, Sebastian Vandel, Greg Galt with the damage. Vandel also dropped off the lead lap at the very tail end of that one. Andre Heimgartner, Andre Youssef, Teo Serrano, Ben Faulkner will not score points, neither will Dylan O'Shea. 75% race distance, 21 laps is going to be, I think it's going to be the end of lap 16. So I have a sneaking suspicion Teo Serrano will actually score points from that one, and he'll be the last classified finisher from that one. We'll step away for a few moments as we get ready for the second race server and race of the night. Qualifying 2 coming your way, just the other side of this.
Hi, my name's Courtney Prince, and last year I competed in Porsche Carrera Cup with BWT. Today I've been on the sims with the OG race gear. I love the new gloves. They're really breathable and awesome, so you don't get sweaty hands using your normal race gloves on the sim. The socks are also really good. You don't get sore feet on the sim. I also think in training they'll be really handy as well.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Hi guys, Lockie Dalton here from Tickford Racing. We're in our wildcard Gen 3 car. Something really cool, what we've got here is our MPI sim wheel. So configured with our Logitech button box. As you can see, it is identical to our Gen 3 wheel. Really cool for the sim world and the supercar world as well. Can't wait to get home and use this. As you can see, you can nearly configure this exactly the same as we would have our supercars. So exact same material, something I'm really keen for.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for bearing with us as we hopped between the servers. I can tell you, practice is underway as drivers are just trying to get a little bit of a read on the track conditions. By the way, track temp has now jumped about 15 degrees or so from where we started race one of the evening. So grip is going to be at a premium. It's going to be slower qualifying as a result. Sandman back into race number 2. Biggest news as well. Of course, all of those marbles have been wiped clean of the track. I think grip's actually going to be very, very minimal in this server. There'll be no rubber laid down.
Yeah, interesting. And like you said, it's gone up the temperature a little bit too. So, and that's what they'll be doing, just getting their eye in now. Just how does the car feel from that last session to this one? And now everyone's going to get their eye in for that one lap. If they can punch out a decent lap time, we do another qualifying session. It is split up into 2 halves, exactly like we had for race 1. And yeah, we get going again. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop Jared Phil. So he looked pretty racy in that first one. I don't imagine too much will change for race number 2.
Yeah, so confirmation once again, 21 laps in both of the races here tonight. Grid set from qualifying 2. And we're going to be on our way with this one again. So it'll be much more of the same, but track conditions a fair bit different is going to be the big thing from this one. We're about 2 minutes away from jumping into qualifying for this one. So just keeping a listen in at the moment. But I think the big thing from that one is qualifying is really, really important. In fact, I'm actually just taking a quick look at the lap times. Lap times are about a second slower in this session. That's how much that temperature has changed. Reminder, of course, about all the work done from our sponsors for the remainder of August, and there is not a lot left. Use the promotion code GMPRO August 5. GMPRO Org 5 for 5% off checkout for all of your sim racing gear from thegamesmen.com.au. They've been a big, proud partner for us. They're getting double their money here tonight in Gamesman Grid Walk. There will be only 3 minutes to be short fire Grid Walk for this one. We won't be having a chat to any of the drivers prior to race start in session number 2. More importantly, Logitech play days from September the 8th all the way through to the 6th of October. You can find yourself some big deals, exclusive deals as well, right the way across the Logitech range of kit. Looking for a new sim racing wheel, looking to get involved in simulator racing. I can tell you, I've got a Logitech G600 mouse sitting over on the right hand side. I'm very disappointed that they discontinued the MMO mouse, because this is what I learned to PC game on. But Logitech keyboard in front of me as well. I do love my mechanical switches on board my Logitech, complete with my volume wheel roller all the way along the right hand side. And then big shout out to Logitech as well for the headsets they gave us. If you're looking for a microphone, well, I can tell you the Yeti is now under Logitech branding. You can pick yourself up a Yeti, Logitech Yeti, or alternatively Astro headsets as well. You can pick yourself up a pair of Logitech Astro A50s as well, which Logitech proudly provided to the pair of us. And Sandman, we both love them. And you know what else? I was chatting to Brenton Hobson last week on the Paddock podcast. It's a part of this series as well. And just before the podcast, I was going, oh yeah, look, I'd really love it if they were actually chargeable by cable so I could sit there on the sim. And Hobson went, they are. I went, no, they're not. I've had this headset for a year now. They're not chargeable by cable. He went, yeah. Have you tried checking the other side of it? Damn you, there's a USB-C charging cable on the other side. So that was my only gripe. That was my only gripe with the headset, and they covered it off. But I'd always used it oval racing, you see. I was able to always get the headset charges really quickly off the base station. I was always able to get enough charge back, and the thing never went flat in racing ovals. So
a huge shout out. Logitech do so much so well, and this is not just me saying it because they're one of our proud sponsors, but I had a Logitech G27 that everyone laughed at me for quite some time. I think I ran it for 13 years. And basically bolted it to my rig, upgraded to a Pro steering wheel, and by damn it, the screw holes are the exact same position from the wheel from 13 years ago. So that's just how good. I didn't have to do a single thing to my simulator. I didn't have to re-drill any holes or anything. They lined up perfectly. And that's not bad for a steering wheel that was 13 years old, currently upgrading to a new one. and they slotted in the exact same holes. So that's a big shout out to Logitech for just going those extra miles. Those little things are what, make gamers, happy, because for me, not knowing that I didn't have to re-drill any holes into my rig was a huge plus. So big shout out to Logitech for that.
You pick up one of the new direct drive Logitech wheels.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. And yeah, we've got a little piece coming up in Enduro. So Enduros is not too far away. So we'll be doing a little piece that you and I touched on.
I got to meet this man a couple of weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen. Even then, gave me no hint at what goes on in the Logitech G Hub. It is honestly a better kept secret than what happens in the military in Australia these days.
Everyone will come around for Enduro time as we watch Dylan O'Shea, who's actually on track, putting out a time in qualifying as the first round of cars get out. But yes, we've got some stuff lined up in the G Hub for Enduros, which is just around the corner. So excited to share all that, and excited about Enduros, I tell you.
If you don't pick up and talk into a shock, I will be very, very disappointed.
Last time I saw someone do that, they broke an iPad, so I don't know if I want to do that.
Have the backup iPad on standby. Dylan O'Shea through the chicane and out the other side. And look at the traction that he gets out the other side as well. There's not a lot of attitude, so he wasn't up and against the limit of the car, but he did manage to get the power down nice and smooth. He runs it out the last couple of corners to the start-finish line, 22.728. So not massively pacey early on in this session. I tell you what, track temp has gone up a bit more again. Here comes the lap times. Jacob O'Reilly's going to touch quicker than the touch limit at the moment. He's going to jump to the top end of this qualifying session. What has Witters got for us? It's in the fives for Jack Witters, 5.31 as he comes through. So Jacob O'Reilly, one of the early runners to throw down a reasonable lap time. More cars coming through out of the final couple of corners. Ryan Jones with a handful.
Yep. Now, is it me looking at that graphic of Ryan Jones? Is it me, or does he look like Connor Moore? It's probably just me, isn't it?
I'm going to take your word for it, because I've got to be honest, I don't know Connor Moore.
You don't know who Connor Moore is?
No,
who does all the F1 impersonators? You'll take the mickey out of the drivers and all the rest of the team members. Anyway, you have to Google him, Connor Moore, and I reckon he looks like him. See what the chat say at YouTube. See if they believe him.
Well, here we go for Sebastian Vandel in Ford, actually, just at the tail end. Remember, he was the quickest driver in qualifying, split one of qualifying one. Can he do the same here in qualifying two? And for now, 22.206. Do you think it's tougher to go from a grippier track and then try and set a lap time on a slower track like this? Because you've just done a whole race where you've got a lot more grip.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have the slipperier track first and then go to a grippier track. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go. But you know what, the best thing is it's the same for everyone. It's just going to who can adapt just that little bit quicker.
1:15 p.m. in sim as well. Humidity is 49%, and winds coming from the east as well. So to give you perspective of that, that is coming basically right to left down the back straight away. So it's nearly a headwind down the front straight away. It's not quite. Sebastian Vandel feeds in through here, and I believe he's just set a flying lap, so this isn't actually as important. Sorry, my apologies. This is his flying lap. He wasn't accurate up through turn 2 and turn 3. Was a touch wide at 3. Now trying to climb the curbs as he gets up out of turn 5. He's off sequence here, and the general rule of thumb is don't get yourself off sequence in qualifying. When there's half the cars down the track, it's actually a lot less. It's not as much of an issue. Could you imagine if that was a full pack of cars that he came across there?
See, 40's picked up where he left off from the last qualifying session that he was in. So top of the time sheet so far, but just over Jacob O'Reilly, Sean McNamara in third. Vandel finishing this lap. Let's see what he can do. One thing I noticed too that just reminded me then, we didn't see, we were worried about motors in that race. We saw so many in that quali session, but no one launched a motor in the race, so that's a good sign. 22.8 for Vandel.
for now. Yeah, Varndell 22.857. So I reckon he was fraction. I wouldn't say impeded. I reckon spooked. The balks was the correct term. Gee, no issues that time through. Here comes this crew of cars who are going to be on flying laps. We're just in behind Varndell now as they start their second flyers of the session. 6 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock from the start of this session at this point in time. Runs all the way through to the end of 10 minutes for the first half of qualifying too. At which point, complete the lap you're on. And that was a car jumping out of the way. I think it was Yusuf who's picked himself up an incident point. Lap will not count as he's outside of track limits.
Fairly tidy. See what sort of sniff that O'Reilly can get with that bit of a draft. We touched on it earlier that the suck-up isn't big in these Gen 3 cars with the aero, but he'll get some sort of little bit of advantage here, and his teammate will move out of the way. It's always helpful, but yeah, I've just noticed that the aero draft isn't as big as what we saw in the previous generation supercar.
No. So it'll be up and over the crest of the hill for Jacob O'Reilly. Sits second on the timing sheets at the moment. Can he make some sort of improvements? Looks like he is going to. He's going to jump to the top of the table.
Yep.
So O'Reilly now leads. How about the lap from Widders as well? He will be very, very happy with that one. Pops it on to P2. Rubber's starting to get laid down on the racetrack, which means the grip will continue to improve as this session goes on. Ian Ford shuffled back to third spot, but he is still on his second flying lap. For now, down the hill, this will be these guys' last lap. They're not going to have enough time to get back in, start another, unless they continue with the second flying lap. And historically, there's been no pace on that lap for Ian Ford. Through turn 11, through turn 12, to the start finish line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. Back to the top end of town. 22.019 will claim provisional pole position, but it's claims it for now. Mulqueen will get this lap in. This lap will count for him. So this one will be really, really important. I messaged him a couple of times and said good luck tonight, because he's always up for a chat after things. He's been our series photographer this year. Always chatting to me post-race. And gets an opportunity to go out there. He said, I've done very little practice, haven't driven this car since the Red Bull Ring. I'm just out here getting experience, getting time behind the wheel.
That's valuable. That's massive. I've noticed that me just being away, obviously I don't have the talent that these guys have, but me just spending time out of the simulator and then rejoining to start racing again, it's crucial that you get just those laps and the mileage, because it's all muscle memory, and just to feel comfortable again, especially if you've been out of the supercars or anything for quite some time, you've got obviously the differences between the new next-gen car as well. So seat time is always valuable regardless of what you're doing. So good of him that, even though, you know, like you said, he hasn't had the practice, but tonight it's all about just sort of keeping his eye in. And he has done, what's that, 23.0. I thought it was a 22.0 there. I thought he was going to go P1.
Yep, checkered flag's just flown for Group 1. And Ian Ford's going to be in. I don't think anyone's actually on a flying lap. There is one car who's just got into T1 just ahead of Teo Serrano. Ryan Jones has actually not set a valid lap time. Now remember, his lap time in split one was, or group one from session one was actually supreme. He qualified very, very well. That has not worked out in session 2, and he's going to come from the rear of the field with no valid lap time set in the session.
Yeah. We say every week, isn't it, just how important it is to get a banker, and unfortunately, his night's gone pear-shaped and hasn't been able to put down a time.
Just looking around, I don't think there is actually anyone currently on a lap time that's going to improve at all. Such was the timing in their session. In forward at the moment, 22.019. Jacob O'Reilly, just over a tenth off the pace. Jack Widders, he will be very happy with that lap. Will be Widders, Capel, Black, Hall, Kobe Williams, Michael Taliancic, Andre Heimgartner, Sean McNamara, Hayden Veld. And there is actually two drivers who have actually improved at the moment. Vandel and Yusuf were the 2 drivers who are actually on lap, so we will have a shuffling of this one up, and it's because Yusuf has gone to 13th spot there, so he's improved. Brian Borg, Postlethwaite, Andre Yusuf, Christopher Ireland, Tay Sarono, Dylan O'Shea, Brady Baldwin, Ben Faulkner, Sebastian Vandel, Damon Mulqueen. So that's the top 20. And was that all the drivers that actually set a lap time? It was. It was only 20 drivers that set a lap time.
Jonesy didn't get some. There you go. So still one more qualifying session. That was split. That was one of the splits. No, whether there's split 1 or split 2. So the next lot of cars are going to come out. But a good run for 40. You'll be happy with that. As we go to the OG Gear replay. And this is McNamara diving into pit lane. This is him enjoying himself again. Oh, and he wasn't enjoying that because he's destroyed the car. Oh my goodness, it kept going too. So it was like the tyres lit up and then he just bounced off the walls like a pinball.
Yeah, that's it's very important to continue on and practice your pit lane entries, because that will be the last opportunity you'll get to practice that one before it matters in the race. So, right, Group 1 from Session 2 now done. Track falls quiet for another 2 minutes or so here. But the big thing is Grip's now gone away from these guys. Madison Down was quick in the first session of the night. There was a lot of track cloud cover that just came over the track just a few moments ago. I think it took just a touch of life out of it just then. Can we just keep an eye on the track temperature? And in fact, it's barely changed. It's gone up just a tiny bit since the start of this session. So not a lot of wiggling about at the moment. I think the big thing, though, is that this track state is green. You saw that last track, there was a lot more defined groove in the racetrack. The colour of the racetrack was a darker grey. So a lot more rubber laid down.
And something that's going to make absolutely no impact for tonight is rain too. We haven't seen it throughout the season, and we were teased there for a little bit thinking that rain was going to impact one of our rounds, but we haven't seen it. But Enduro's just around the corner, long races. Can you imagine some rain at the mountain maybe?
Yeah, that'd be could you imagine if that's the first time we see rain in the season? Although it would be the best place to see it would be in Melbourne at Sandown. That would just be the right location to see it.
Every time I think of the Sandown 500, I think of rain. But anyway.
And this is currently under review as well. A replay from Jake Blackhall's perspective. Remember, he had a 10-second.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah, that's a bit naughty.
He's gotten away with it okay. But he's definitely lost time as a result.
Yeah, it's more to you. Yeah, it was right in that braking zone. It would have thrown him big time. So yeah,
if you're going to brake there, pull all the way off to the left-hand side, brake early. Why did he brake? Yeah, that was Ben Faulkner, by the way.
Look,
team boss at Vermilion.
It's easy. You see mistakes happen all the time. I know that there was this, at this particular round in the Vet Series, there was a Muppet that crashed up the back of someone under safety car down that long back straightaway. It might have been Stephen Sandman Clark. But so accidents happen. And I felt like one of the biggest idiots in the world. But nevertheless, we look at incidents and we think, oh, what were you thinking? And, sometimes drivers just get caught up and they're in the moment, they're thinking about something else. My excuse, and it's what I was doing. I was trying to change my pit strategy because I was going to come down the pit lane. And I was trying to catch up with the safety car. That's how far behind I was. And absolutely drilled someone down the back straight away under safety car. So
it's a busy little track here too. You just don't get enough opportunities to tinker with the buttons in the setting.
No, and that's what I did. Right, did it down the straight and looked up, and at the last second it was way too late.
And what was one of the things that we're actually conversing about at Queensland Raceway as well? You were asking me about can you hook tablets up to your simulator rig, and the end result is yes, but it takes some setting up and getting things together. And the reason that you want to do that is
incidents like that.
Yeah, more buttons. You can go, I want 2 tyres, I want 4 tyres, I want half the fuel tank, I want 5 litres out, I want 5 litres out, I want 5 litres out. Or that was too far, I want 5 litres back in. But you can do all that. You can set buttons for that. Because the big thing at the end of the day is, and I talk about this a lot, and the reason why I talk about this a lot, because the mental load of a sim racing driver is significantly higher than that of a real race car driver. But the good news is you can plug an air conditioning unit into your sim racing unit alongside of it, and you're good to go.
That's right.
Can't do that in a race car.
Yeah, GT3's a work on, isn't it?
Where's the GT3 out there tonight? And you asked me, Damon Woods said earlier on tonight, I'd prefer it to be a GT3, but GT3 it is not. And the attitude in the rear end, the number 56 car, was significantly more than it was on Friday night from Le Mans, where he just ripped the field a new one. Such was the domination of the 56 machine. I reckon that might have been an off track as he come down through the S's then too. And you might see him just sidestep, didn't pick it up on the outside of turn 5 as he clambered over the curbs there. So it looks like it's still a valid lap time at this point in time for Damon Woods. Man who had prospects this year as well, has done a test day in 2025 in a GT4 car. Unfortunately, that pathway just didn't open up in the method that they wanted it to. So he will continue on. And there's the result, 10-second time penalty, which matches from what we saw in qualifying 1 for Ben Faulkner. Will pick himself up 10-second time penalty. Righto, 2 sector times in, 36.3 in the first, 27.5 in the second. Up and over the crest, fall away 10 stories to turn 12. Tips it in, first lap in Group 2 qualifying 2 in the books. Woods goes to P2. Ian Ford's managed to hang on. James Scott's gone to the top. That's a really, really big statement from James Scott. And here they all come. Phil Sell goes to the top. Rattray White to P2. Josh Anderson will come through. He'll be looking for a little bit of speed. There is some cloud cover at the moment. The track temps come down as well. Need to get the lap time put together nice and early. And there will be an abandon late on for Josh Anderson.
Down abandoned as well.
Emily Jones got the lap together, goes 7th. So it will count. Gilliam goes to P2. Phil Sell's on top by 10th. By nearly a 10th.
Yeah, Zach Rattray White in 3rd. Oh, Berkey is just trying to find himself a little bit of clear area. You can see flashing the headlights. He's like, come on, boys, I'm on a good one. You guys made a bit of a meal out of that. Move out of my way. It looks like exactly what they're going to do. So good heads up drive. Or maybe Bowler hasn't quite got out of it just as yet, but he has now. So Berkey managed to get away with that. But that's always a little bit disheartening, isn't it? You come out of the back straight and you see a couple of people fighting in front of you that maybe not looking in their rearview mirror, but he got away with that. You can push on. He's trying to get a 21.6. That's for the pole. What's Burt going to do? Comes down to that final corner, comes across the line, and crosses the line with a 22.2.
And the problem for him is that's 24 spot, and I reckon he was impeded on that lap. He wasn't given free access to the track that he necessarily would have liked. And two drivers who really had nothing to gain on that lap. Yes, what's the second going to do? And in that lap, for the two drivers who were trying to get their way back into pit lane.
Here's our previous pole sitter from race number 1, Madison Down. He'd be looking to repeat another pole, but I don't think he'd be looking to repeat another start. Oh, he's going to fire into the lane again. I don't think he's banked a time yet. That's I think second aboard. So I wonder what's going on here. That's a bit strange. Like I said, he'd be obviously wanting to replicate qualifying, but he doesn't want to replicate that race start. He would have been kicking himself about that start where he got absolutely jumped by Phil Sell and Gilliam. But rare that, you know, just under 5 minutes to go and Down hasn't put down a banker yet.
Well, that's very, very important, under 5 minutes. Because realistically, he's only got one opportunity for a clean, maybe two. There might just be enough time for two, but he will have to storm around to try and get a second lap in. He's not got a lot of wiggle room in that one, so there might just be enough time for 2 more laps.
It sounds easy. You say to a driver, go out there, you've got 5 minutes, just put down a time. You go, yeah, no worries. But when you're up against the clock and you know that if you make a meal of it, you could be back in P40. That's when the pressure starts to build. And it's so easy. You know, we see how many times it's easy just to get a little off track, you know, run a tiny bit wide, especially on that final corner coming to the start-finish line. You run wide there, that's your whole lap cooked. And then you've got to make another lap, jump into pit lane, put a new set of tyres and have another crack at it.
I think the big thing is you set to carry the speed. You're right out there, right up against the track limits. You're using every skerrick of road that's available to you. So when you're wide by less than a foot, it's because you're right up and against it. There is no room for error.
No.
Because if you're a foot narrow here, that is a significant amount of corner speed that just carries. You want to be the best, you've got to be the best. And that means using all the road that's entitled that you can use and pushing limits everywhere.
Well, if you don't use the real estate, you're giving up time. And we see time in and time out how crucial a 10th is, So if you're giving up a lazy 10th just because you're not that committed, then, you're going to get nowhere. So, and the other teams and drivers that are out there, if they know that, watch that onboard for Zach Ratcho White, you can see the driver in front just flashing their brakes. That's iRacing code for, I'm probably going to move out of the way. I'll give you a little bit of a tow, but I'm going to get out of the way for you. So let's really watch his slipstream. And that's exactly what he does.
Really well done.
Yep. So that's code for flash of the brakes is, yep, I'll give you the run you need, but I'm going to move out of the way right at the last moment. So that was cool to see.
Generally, if you see that in the racing, you will see some of that in the Enduros where guys go, I'm not fighting you. Different fuel strategy, different tyre strategy. They'll flash the brakes, just go, I'm not going to fight it when we get to the braking zone. It's generally just okay, going to give you the run, going to give you the spot. Be quick. And the reason you want to do that is, and you see it in Formula Ford racing all the time, is if you get stuck fighting someone, you're costing time through one turn, you're costing yourself time through a second turn, you're costing yourself time through a third turn. You just banks up. Let them go. Generally, they'll give you a tow back. They'll help you pace just a little bit and cost you next to nothing. Jared Filsell improves his lap time as well. So he goes back to the pointy end of things. Well, he was already there, but he just improves on that lap time. Andrew Gilliam's coming up and over the crest of the hill. He's in this next little battle pack. Josh Anderson will be the first in line of this group. Then it'll be Brady Myers. What have they got?
First time.
As they cut their way through. Josh Anderson goes to P2 and Andrew Gilliam immediately takes it back off of him. So that one didn't last long at all. Madison down. Has got an attitude on that car. 21.964 only goes 13th spot for Madison down, and there will not be enough time for that car. That's it. That's his qualifying. So P1 in the qualifying one, 13th at best in Q2.
It's interesting. Look at the times too. We were giving the shout out to Emily, who was like top 5 in that previous quali. She's down in 16th at the moment. So Rick Kazesov, he's on P5 at the moment currently with still just over a minute 10 to go. But if a lot of these drivers have already taken the best out of their tyres, then what we're seeing now on track is probably all we're going to see. They're going to make their run to the checkered flag, and that will be it. So Dylan Pereira, he's in the thick of it, and these guys are on a lap. So he's managed to, he's going to abort there. So it looks like he might have got balked a little bit. So Hobbo, he's still on a lap. No, he's going to back out of it too. No, he's still going.
So following him behind Luke Rosella at the moment. Andrew Gilliam just ahead on track. Rosella's not aware that Hobbo's on a lap.
No. Nah. Now,
if you're not going to approach that braking zone, like, just get out of the... Don't half-ass the braking in the middle of the road. That's what I'm saying. We saw the same... That was exactly the same thing with Ben Fulton earlier on.
Yeah, there's enough real estate where you can get right out of the way. So Hobbo will be spewing about that. So... Oh, and there's a motor. We talked about it, that we didn't see motors, and now it looks like Bo Albert has absolutely cooked that, and that's his session done and dusted.
34th, so he has got no speed here tonight.
Emily's done. I think she's finished. I think that might be the session. I know Briggs is on a lap, I think. He's back in 28th. Needs to improve on a 22.2. Now, pole time for the moment, Jared Filsaw at 21.6, so he's got a massive mountain to climb if he's going to put pressure on Jared. Gets the power down and he's going to abort. So that is qualifying. Jordan Ross. He's on a lap.
Yeah, so this is his first push lap on the tyre. So this one will be of note for the 143. I wonder whether or not he might have just picked up the inside of the chicane.
Yep,
up and over the crest. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And jumps out of the way. And by the way, track temps skyrocketed again at the back end of that session. That's why no one's going faster at the moment. Griffin Gardner's on a lap. I don't know whether or not there'll be time. There was a little bit of improvement, fractional improvement for Griffin Gardner. 9 to 3rd. I tell you what, fractional improvement gained 6 spots out of a 10.
You beat me to it. You said, oh, he's made a fraction of improvement, but it's the positions that he's gained. And that's what we talk about. You leave a 10th on the table and you're going to get absolutely punished for it. So well done, Griffin Gardner.
But he looked good in race 1 too, didn't he? So in terms of overall speed, I think he gained towards the back end of that session. Phil Sell. Well, it's going to be the Lobs teammates on the front row. The order changes from race 1 to race 2. It was Gilliam who, sorry, my apologies. It was actually not Jared Philsell on row 1 in race number 1. He will line it up off pole position. It was Andrew Gilliam who lines it up from P2 2 races in a row. Who's going to get the power down, though, before we get down to turn number 1? Griffin Gardner was where Jared Philsell started last time out. Josh Anderson will be off alongside of him on row number 2. Zach Ratcher-White's been pretty consistent in terms of qualifying so far. He will be 5th spot from race number 2. Rick Kuznetsov, after not having issues in qualifying 2 the same way he does, qualifies deep in the 10. Jake Maloney's on a reasonably consistent night here tonight. Inside the 10 from Luke Rosella, James Scott, and Ethan Griggold round out the top 10. Brady Myers, that's a big improvement, by the way, for Ethan Griggold. He was 30th last time out, 20 spots better in race number 2. Brady Myers from Matthew Bowler, just outside of the 10. Row number 6. Row 7, Madison down. Big loss in performance for the Trans-Tasman Racing, number 77 from Dylan Pereira. Damon Woods, Emily Jones, after 5th in race 1, will start as 16th in race 2. Ian Ford, still managing to be Mr. Consistent. He's been one of the better ERT cars all night long, continues to be. So Brent Hobson, you just wonder what could have been for Brent Hobson on that last qualifying lap. Dylan Rudd from Jacob O'Reilly, Jack Widders, Jordan Ross, 22nd spot. Wayne Burke from Lachlan Capel on the 12th row of the grid. Back to row number 13, and we're going to find ourselves Hayden Veld from Jake Blackhall, Kobe Williams, and Adam Briggs. Couldn't find time in that car. He's just struggling a little bit. Michael Taliancic was Mr. Qualifying 1 here tonight, not finding the speed he needed from qualifying 2. Andre Heingartner will start alongside of him to round out top 30. 17th for second, back to 30th spot in this one. McNamara from Brian Bourne, Glenn Postlethwaite, Bo Albert, Andre Youssef, and Christopher Irwin to round out our top 36 positions. Terry Serrano from Dylan O'Shea, Brady Baldwin, Ben Faulkner round out your 40, 1.2 seconds to 40th spot. Sebastian Varndell from Damon Mulqueen, 44th and 42nd. Outside of here, Brian Jones and Kurt Stenberg, the 2 drivers not set times for the 44 cars that make up the field. By the way, update, Luke Rosella, 10-second time penalty for impeding, guess who, Brenton Hobson. That was the one that we did see.
Yeah, kind of thought that was going to happen. So Rosella will be kicking himself because he's in P8 at the moment. So anyway, he's got to wear it. And mate, I'll tell you what, form guide isn't always something to go off, is it? You talk about Madison down, P3 in race 1, starts P13 in race 2. So a little bit of head scratching there, and we talked about, you know, it just took him so long to get a banker in. So really wasn't his session, and now he's got his work absolutely cut out for him. I don't know how much he's going to be able to improve on that, but P13 is not ideal.
Yep, and there will be some work to do. 60 seconds before we get into our second race start of the evening. 86 Ks to come our way in race number 2. 21 more laps. And that is the look back from the kink. Dylan Pereira's car, we just fly over the top of. There's Madison down in 13th. He's going to get this thing fired off on the kink. Been a while since he would have started that deep in the field, and this is not the track that you would want to be doing that from. What about the guys that are starting further back up and over the crest? They're going to start either on the uphill or the downhill. Think about the guys at the back end of the field. I think they're actually all the way up and on the crest. Kurt Stenberg's actually at the top of the crest, and he's actually underneath the bridge. The back half of his car's in shade, so it'll be a little bit cooler in a cockpit, though, where he's concerned. But here we go. Who have you got your eye on for this one? Because that's obviously not a great starting point for Stenny, so he'll be looking to climb his way through.
I think it's going to be hard to go past Phil Sell. Taking the easy route there, but as we hear the rev rise.
Here we go. Rev start to rise. Who is going to make that mistake? It has been so difficult to get these cars launched, and Griffin Gardner lit them up off of row number 2, but nobody on row number 2 got a great getaway. Kuznetsov got a reasonable one. He's going to try and shove Josh Anderson down into turn number 1 and try and go round the outside of Griffin Gardner. It's going to be Ando who slots it away into P3. 2 Lobs Esports teammates lead it away. Rattray White was looking for any bit of open real estate. Didn't open up for him on the inside, by the way, as he was just blocked off and covered off by Griffin Gardner, and I think it's gone not well for him. There's a car around the back end of the field. Shoes drama happened on the back straight last time. We didn't get to turn 4 this time. Sean McNamara's involved. There's Wayne Burke. There's Hayden Veld in a bust up.
This is exactly what I expected to happen in race number 1, and we saved it for race number 2. So here's Hobson on screen. with nose to tail there. Everyone just looks like everyone's managed to get away. Oh, Hobson gone in deep there, missed the braking marker there. And now he's in a world of hurt. He's got a little bit of pressure, but it looks like all those cars that got caught up in that carnage, looks like they got away with it.
For now, everyone is away. Who's going to be pinning at the end of lap number 4, trying to get the undercut and trying to see what they can do? Remember, tyres did seem to be the better way to go, and it's a hotter track temp this time. So there's going to be a little bit more deg involved. There's going to be a little bit more wear, a little bit more pressure in those tyres. And for now, Brenton Hobson, where's he going to cross the line at the end of lap number 1? He goes backwards. And Ben Faulkner's going to pick himself up a black flag for jumping the race start.
Checking up the front, good start there from Anderson. He'll be wrapped with that. So P3 currently in the moment. Gilliam in his this site says we go to the OG gear replay, and this is the start. This is where the carnage, you see, everyone's just trying to find that little bit of real estate. Oh, it runs a little bit wide. That probably does a little bottle effect, maybe. 3 wide.
3 wide.
Nose to tail. Everyone just fighting for position. Oh, and look at carnage. Lucky that more cars actually didn't get involved. Big hit there. That was one of the TTR cars. That might have been, was that Baumgartner maybe back there? I'm not sure, but man, oh man. Everyone's just been in the thick of it back there.
Lap 1, both races from Road Atlanta, big incidents. This time though, only one car to pit lane, and that is Jack Whittis in his day. Gee, he has had a bad season. Remember, it took him all the way to Detroit Royale to actually put points on the board, is how his season has gone. And that'll be another retirement for Jack Whittis, unfortunately, from the rear end of the field. Rattray White was the big loser out of lap 1 inside the top 10, goes from 5th on the grid to 9th. Brady Myers starts outside the 10, brings himself up into 8th. So he's managed to gain some ground.
Yeah,
Luke Brazell also 8th spot on the grid, back to 13th, so he fell outside the 10.
Sliding doors, isn't it? And that's what the start, it's all about, just trying to stop the bleeding. If you get caught on the outside and a couple of people start to snuffle you at the start, and you don't want to get caught up in incidents, and it's the nerves are there, and it's the perfect time to pounce because all the cars are gridded up. And speaking of gridding up, this was a replay of the start, the OG gear replay. Hearing this, oh, that's Faulkner with the jump start. That was a jump start. So, oh, he'll be kicking himself. He knew it as soon as he did it. He was like, oh, there's a penalty straight away. So.
And we're hearing Bo Albert drive-through penalty for contact with Sean McNamara. That was probably at the head of the stuff that caused all of that. Remember, he's right on that bubble. Everything's just come back together for Bo.
Okay, this is him on the replay. So we're riding on board with Bo and Crunch. And that's, oh, but all the drama's happening in front of him as well. And oh, he's didn't get away scot-free.
That's qualifying.
Yeah, but he's got a penalty and he was in the thick of it. And there was also drama ahead of him too. So there's probably more penalties coming from the steward's office. We'll be keeping busy as we watch this. Lap
I just
4
heard
already.
something reported in from Jordan Ross as well. So he's also called out, reports something in, and I think he's missing the complete front end of his race car at the moment, so he's not he will just continue to fall.
And being that it's such a short race, these little sprint races, you know, you don't have the opportunity of maybe a safety car come in, fix the car under safety car and a caution, you know, get that damage sorted. Because it's so quick, it's done and dusted, these races. So if you got damage and it's going to hurt you, then it's going to hurt you for the entire race, unfortunately, because there's just that lack of time to come back. Different story come enduro time, which is just around the corner. But on these sprint races, it's essential that you keep these cars as clean as you can.
It's just endurance race, keep it out there, keep the thing on the island, just keep yourself in contention. And what's that famous phrase of yours?
Finish first you got to finish.
Oh, you buy a ticket to the end.
Ah, there you go. I'm saving it for Bathurst.
We're gonna have to do up bingo cards, I think, for Bathurst weekend this year of things that happen during the race. I was thinking that might be the freebie square right in the centre.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for now, barreling down the front straight away, this little battle pack forming up And spots at a premium. Track temp now cresting 50 degrees Celsius out there, halfway to boiling some water. Probably more than enough to get the temperature of some bacon and eggs up enough and cook it off the road. You've got a free pan handy. Rick Kuznetsov, though, qualifying in race 1 didn't go his way, has done in race number 2. Presented with an opportunity to get up here, get amongst it. And I think this will probably be his first top 5 performance of the season if he can get this one done, which he is desperate for. He's struggled massively this year after being leading the championship at one point last year. Again, right place, right time, a little bit of luck, things going his way, but was leading the championship and was a contender for the title last year.
The game that Maloney's got on the brakes there. That was a really cool shot just to see what, and just the line, the different lines that they've got. You know, him just trying to find just that little bit more real estate just to put the pressure under Rick Kuznetsov, because he knows that obviously they're having a red hot go, but the more that they battle, they can see the top 4 just starting to move away from them, and that gap starts to grow. So that's not ideal. And if he's got that pace in the car, he'll want to try and dispose of him and just try to catch up with the front runners and not let him get away a little bit.
Wayne Burke, black flag. Also for lap 1, turn 3, and that was for the contact that sent Jack Widders flying. That has caused his retirement of the race. So 2 drive-through penalties from lap 1 so far. Is this the final corner?
This is Dexy. Love the slow-mo. Getting that little bit of curb, picking up the grass. You can see the cars moving around. And look at Maloney hanging out the rear.
Is that James got him behind him?
That's so cool.
You're just picking up the throttle and just going, well, it's going to rotate off the rear because that's going to generate a little bit of pace. But you can't do that forever. You can't skip those rear tyres over the floor that often that you start to wear the rubber away. That won't last the whole distance. So I would say tyres in this one is going to be an even bigger factor in race than in race 1. Here we go, middle of this pack, Dylan Rudd. Reasonable race number 1 for him tonight. What's he got for us in race 2? He's already up 1 spot since qualifying. Ian Ford's his next victim.
This shot gives so much. You can see, look at the wheel input. You can see the visibility that he's got. He's got a car right in front of him. He's trying to hunt for apexes that are blind at the best of times. He's fighting the car. They're bouncing up over curbs. Oh, you can see 40 just sliding and slipping a little bit just in front of him. But the wheel work that you can see, the input that he's doing, he's constantly correcting this car. You get no brake here whatsoever. Hard on the brakes, up over the curbs, getting the power down. Car's getting sideways in front of him, trying to make opportunities there. And he's getting dirty as well, getting the grass and the dirt and everything flicked up into his eyes.
I think the big thing is the first words that just go through my mind are just, oh boy, slid that into turn 1, slid it out of turn 1, slid it out of turn 2, slid it out everywhere. Because at the moment, traction is coming at a premium. There was a lot of traction. There was a lot of grip in race 1 of the night. It is going away in race number 2. Got to look after rears to generate your pace tonight. Josh Anderson. Did I just hear Ben Faulkner? No, Ben Faulkner, I think, just said, I've served my penalty. I thought I heard a request to tow for 2 moments then. I'm fairly confident I was served my penalty instead. Supposed to go ahead and pick himself off a spot. So the 72 machine on the ascendancy, making his way past Kobe Williams. Down the inside in the chicane.
A little bit of assistance there. Oh, they're fighting. They have, look at this. Contact there. Oh, it's going to be sideways. What's happened here? So that's Woods almost making contact there. I thought that Rosella was going to go around there for a moment then, but they managed to get away with it.
Yeah, just about. 55 and 56. Making a little bit of contact. Another replay that we're on number 10, number 1. And the hole opened up, and it opened up late. Did he get far enough up alongside? Remember, it's very difficult to keep the car on at turn 1 here. Another bang, another biff, up and over the curb.
This is where I thought, oh, that's where I thought it was going to get juicy right there. Well done, soldiers. They'll fight the living of it, eh?
That exchange right there reminded me of watching supercars racing from Albert Park earlier this year.
Here we go. This will give you a really good view. So the gain that he makes under brakes at turn 1 doesn't touch. Oh, a little bit of a touch there.
And the question is, if this goes to the stewards, was he entitled to win at turn 1? Because if he's not, then it becomes a bumper.
Yep. Again, I'll stay in the comms box and enjoy the show. We'll see there's some more pit stops happen. So Zach Rattray's
There's
White,
more in that story, actually.
Damon Woods and Matthew Bowler. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, here comes the undercuts. There's more in that story. Car 55, Luke Rosella, 5-second penalty for contact with car 56. But, and here's the big but, lap 4. That was lap 8 last time by. So that's the second exchange between those two. That's why there was very little room given.
Lovely.
So that'll be kept in the memory banks. And the big thing I think worth noting for Luke Rosella is think about how strong he is every single time we go to the Endurance. He's got a Sandown win, a Bathurst win. Lap 4, turn 7.
Replay that you were just talking about for that penalty. Oh, that's a big kamikaze dive up the inside. So that's why the stewards looked on that, and that's probably why he was happy to reverse the favour. So, oh, big slide there, contact 2. Oh, they're going to get away with it. Oh, going to be an opportunity here. So Scott, he's going to lose 2 spots there out of that, and Myers is going to make up the spot and dive into pit lane.
Yeah, that's smart because they're all starting to get a little bit abusive on each other. We're just shy of halfway through this race as well. Anderson also dives in, so he's looking for a little bit of an undercut. Is that targeting Andrew Gilliam? Because track temps, by the way, fastest lap of the race, Griffin Gardner, 22.344. Well, they're all into the 23s, so they've fallen off 0.7 of a second in this one, at least. So the fall off is bigger, definitely.
And how close that Phil Sell, Gilliam and Anderson were, you'd think that they'd be in next lap just to cover Anderson on those tyres.
Well, that whole pack was a lot tighter than it was in race 1 when the pit stops all started. Track temp on the way down. A little bit of cloud cover. You can see it's a little bit gloomier outside at the moment. I tell you, you know what would have spiced this one up? Just rain. Get to about like 16 and it just rains. It doesn't, not enough to switch over into a wet tyre, but enough to just make it greasy and difficult. Go from a really greasy dry track to a greasy-ish track.
Now, I'm interested to see, I was just watching Phil Sol, he's opened that gap to 1.2 seconds to Gilliam. And I said before, he's got that mindset of usually when it's time for him to pit, he'll absolutely charge. So I wonder if he's going to dive in the lane this time round or let his teammate, no, they're both staying out. So they made absolute lies out of him. And I thought they were going to dive in, but Griffin Gardner's taken that opportunity.
Kuznetsov, Madison down both in. Pereira's going to come in. Emily Jones will continue on. Hobson continues on.
Difference of how bright it is on this part of the racetrack as we see at the start-finish line. Look how bright and sunny it is compared to how dark and gloomy it was over the back part of the racetrack with that cloud cover. So that's interesting too to see that.
Just changed a couple of years in that weather system, hey? All of a sudden we've got such unique conditions like that.
You know when you notice in oval track racing, that's what it is. There's cloud cover.
So for now, James Scott feeds out just ahead of Rick Kuznetsov. Greg Galt's actually reasonably positioned here. And Josh Anderson becomes the leader of the cars who have made their first stop. And by the way, there's a touch worth of traffic mixed in the pit cycles, which is, I reckon, anyone who hasn't pit yet actually wants to run long now because there's traffic in the middle of all of these guys. Right now, Josh Anderson's about 4 seconds behind Chris Ireland. Griffin Gardner's just overtaken Damon Mulqueen. Mulqueen's at the pit. Taliantich is behind Mulqueen. So because of all the arge and barge that happened back on lap 1, it's resulted in a fairly spread field because you had all those recovering cars. Oh, and by the way, race controls got back to us. Car 56, Damon Woods, 5-second penalty, contact with Rosella, lap 8, turn 1. So they both got 5 seconds. So there you go. He wasn't entitled to that spot down the inside at turn 1. It was Damon Woods. We're going to get ourselves a replay. Madison down. Down the inside. Nice and easily. Greg Galt just makes that one very easy. Different tyre strategies as well. Madison down. Pitting just recently. 2 lap fresher tyres. Greg Galt just, not going to make that one too difficult.
I'm curious. I'm watching the time between Anderson and Phil Sell. So Anderson's got 27, just over 27 seconds margin. And it's slowly been coming down to, again, 21. So it's fluctuating a little bit, 27.3, 27.6. So Anderson's had a bit of a moment. I wonder how much longer that Phil Sell and that are going to run. Oh, moment there. You can see Phil Sell just picking up those inside tyres over the curb. But again, that's something to keep an eye on, is that fluctuation with that 27.3 at the moment for Anderson. So if that really starts to dip, then Phil Sell will know that he'll have to pit. But for the moment, he's probably got him covered, but the teams will be keeping an eye on as it now drops to 26.9.
Yep. For Josh Anderson, back through to 6th spot. Half a second quicker on that last lap. So he is taking time out, and they've got to just be a little bit circumspect. They won't want to go too much longer. Rosella gets in and out of the lane. I wonder whether or not he served his 5-second time penalty at the pit stop. And in fact, with the traffic he's just come out in, I'd say he would have. So keep an eye on whether or not that one has been served. He's popped up behind the Ian Ford, so... And Ian Ford has made his first... Yeah, so he definitely would have served his penalty. Then Woods pit 1 lap earlier. He's a couple of seconds down the road. Down the inside for Rosella, gets the job done on 40. Ford's going to come over and salt.
The boys are in. Phil Sell and Gilliam. Yeah, I figured they couldn't leave it too much longer because Ando was just starting to creep in that little bit. So Emily stayed out. She'll now become our race leader. But
Madison down. Rick Kuznetsov are actually going side by side at the moment. Andre Heimgartner's got repairs required at this point in time. Wonder where he is. Brent Hobson's gone through. He won't pit. Madison down, cannot get the car by Rick Kuznetsov at this point in time. And now he's going to come under a little bit of harassment and assault from James Scott. And Andre Heimgartner. And that is a blown engine just off of turn 6, and the bulk of the field have just done their pit stops, but not all of them.
Not all of them. You're exactly right. Brenton Hobson and Emily Jones. Yep. Anderson has come out in front of Phil Sell and Gilliam, as well as Griffin Gardner. So essentially, it's Josh Anderson who would be our race leader at the moment. But the potential of a safety car is looming for race number 2, lap 14 of 21.
Safety car, I think, it's just been called. Yeah, it has, indeed. We will go safety car in race number 2. Here we go. That car is just
my goodness.
It's just too awkward of a location for them to even think about not triggering a safety car for that one.
Here we go. This is Heimgartner. And we're hearing it was a blown engine on downshift. And there it goes.
Did he double plug a gear there?
Emily Jones is in the pits. I think Hobbo will be straight in, and he is. So effectively, Josh Anderson, with that pit strategy, has come out in front of Phil Sell and Gilliam.
Hobbo's in as well. So, yeah, Endo's going to be the race leader.
53rd. I was just watching that gear shifting.
Yep.
That locked up on him straight away. He'd be kicking himself. So easy to do. And, yeah, tough night for Heimgartner.
Very critically, Ben Faulkner just barely got out in front of our race leader.
Oh, Emily come out just behind Madison down.
That's inside the top 10 for both of them.
Yeah, Emily didn't have a great qualifying run either, so she's made up some spots. Was she back in 16th? I can't remember where she started, but
16th.
And down was in 13th. So here we go. Our moves and shakers. Ryan Jones, aka Connor Moore, 16 spots, as well as Kurt Stenberg too. So mate, that's always a good thing when you're in the plus column. But man, oh man, doesn't this shake things up? Lap 15 of 21, Josh Anderson. Mate, he'll be start of his lifetime. Sorry, mate, go for it.
I'm just thinking about who are the drivers that got the drive-through penalties. It was Bo Albert. Who was the second one? Just thinking back to Wayne Burke, I believe. Yeah, it would be Wayne Burke. So both of those guys would be quite happy, except the other problem, Wayne Burke is actually 2 laps down. Track temps now climbed up to 51 degrees Celsius. So it has just been, it dipped in qualifying and then come back up again at the back end of the session.
And look at this back end.
Yeah,
sunny as well. Well, how's Ando's nerves? Going from a potential, a possibility of a race win here in the dying laps. He'd be hoping for the start of a lifetime, hoping that Griffin Gardner doesn't get a great start and that Griffin Gardner, Jared Filsell and Andrew Gilliam all start battling so Josh can sort of pull away. But man, oh man.
Well, critically, the biggest thing, when we had that chat to him after Road America, he talks himself down and out of things a lot. But he backs his he backs his technique. He trusts his technique. But he says, oh, no, the lap's not going to be good enough. The lap's not going to be quite good enough. The lap's not going to be here. The lap's not going to be... He sort of talks himself down a little bit. This is one of those situations where he'll go, no, back myself in. I trust our technique. So, leading, he'll feel comfortable. And the biggest note for him is that he's got another car right alongside him in Griffin Gardner.
Well, the thing that I love about this for Ando is we were talking about him in quali and he was back in 14th at one stage. Remember, in the dying stages, he managed to jump up 7 spots. So, it's results like that is when you can start to make those gains and then you have a good race and then you get a good start, you make up some positions at the start, you get some good strategy. And this safety car didn't work in his favour. His undercut worked in his favour. That was planned ahead. He sort of did that a few laps earlier and was able to jump the likes of Jared Filsell and Andrew Gilliam. So strategies come right into it, as well as for Griffin Gardner too. So those guys are right there on merit, but they're there on pace as well too. So this is going to be really interesting in the dying stages.
Yeah. And there's a few guys down the back end of the field who are taking the opportunity to just grab fresh tyres because they were at the back. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got nothing to lose. I mean, look, don't rule out. They know that this is the last couple of laps before the sprint race is over. We head into enduros after this. The thought and the idea of a possible incident where a couple of cars could get caught up in damage, don't rule that out too, because everyone's going to be hungry at the end of this race. So I don't want to say it, but sometimes safety cars breed safety cars. And we're running out of laps quite quickly here. So the only thing that Ando will be thinking is nice clean start and let the drama happen behind him.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. When we go back to green flag racing at the conclusion of this lap, there's going to be 5 laps left to run. Bit over 20 kilometres worth of racing.
Lap, I think.
Yeah, it's coming in. Safety car's already pulled away from the field, so Josh Anderson is in control. He'll now wait for the next command he will hear will be safety car is in pit lane. Once he hears that, field is in his control. Additionally, there's also a little bit of piece of this, which becomes relevant in the GT Pro side of things, not relevant in the supercars, is once that safety car pulls away, you must cease weaving. That's not relevant here. That's not as important. But those front tyres will be a touch colder.
The thing that Anderson will be loving too is that he's in control of this race start. And the run to the checkered flag, you're going through a chicane and then an uphill where you've got to get the power down. So if he makes it more trickier for everyone else behind him to get the power down at the right spot and he does it nice and clean, he can benefit. But look at Gardner. He's right there. He's waiting for Anderson. He knows that the start is about to happen right now. It's going to be a cracker.
Righto, here we go. Josh Anderson has control. How long does he wait? Now fires it off just before they get to the crest of the hill. And he'll be hoping he can just stretch that margin, the margin that he's crucially worried about, you think, will be Jared Filsell. Filsell got a great run off the last corner. Does Griffin Gardner fire it? Down the inside, no cover, no defence offered. Filsell deep into turn 1. slides the rears as they get out of turn 1 as well. Gardner, is he thinking about just hanging onto a podium? Is he thinking about 4th? I don't think he would have felt he was going to hold off Phil Sell for all the 5 remaining laps. But now it becomes Anderson versus Phil Sell. Who is going to blink first? Does Anderson have enough tyre left underneath him? Do the tyres cool off enough to give him that little bit of life? I bet the feeling he's going to defend for all money. This is an opportunity to put a win in the books. He's not going to give this up.
And it's a bounce back too. He had an absolute shocker. You know, he got caught up in that massive crash, the start line crash, which took him out of the race at the previous round. But look at that. You can see just that Jared hard on the power down, lighten up the rears. Jared's tyres are going to be those few laps fresher than Anderson. So Anderson's going to have to defend here, make Jared go around the outside, but we've already seen a move, and that's exactly what he's done. Phil Sell's already made a move around the outside, and look at that. The cloud covers come over here. This will benefit Anderson.
No.
Oh, he's bottled
the
it.
brake. Couldn't quite get the car pulled up. That will decide things. Phil Sell skates his way through. Endo's going to cover them. 3
he's gonna go.
Rattray White had to bail out of it. Maloney gets down the inside. He'll nick the spot. Gilliam gets his way through. Endo goes from leading to fourth. Big mistake in the braking zone. Now he's got his teammate all over him. Here comes Rattray White. He'll fire up and have a fire down the inside as well.
Oh, Endo's so lucky he's got a teammate behind him, because he might have been an absolute sitting duck and could have lost about 5, 6, 7 spots the way they're all benched up there. He'd be absolutely kicking himself. That opportunity's gone away to defend. Jared Filsell took it to him, got the job done, and just unfortunate mistake there for Anderson.
Yeah, he went deep. He went late on the brakes. He tried to harass him, tried to hang on to it. Phil Sell's going to skip clear now. Griffin Gardner goes from, well, I was in 3rd. I started this race 2nd. Now I'm back to 2nd. He won't mind this. This buys him a little bit of time. Gilliam's going to come back at him. What is Anderson's tyres like? Has he scorched them? Has he got something to reply with? Maloney's actually starting to fall off the rear end of him a little bit. They're too wide as they come out the background. David Woods and Ethan Green goal. They're going to go heads up racing. Down the back straight away. You'll see them. They were banging doors just before they come over the crest. And I'll tell you what, there's cars around out the hairpin as well at turn 7. Kurt Stenberg's one of them.
Yeah, oh, got damage there. Yeah.
Right. Chris Island?
Island.
Yeah.
Did he launch a motor? Is he stuck there? No, he's managed to get away. So, oh, man. So Griffin Gardner doing his absolute best to hold on to Andrew Gilliam. I think the thing that Josh Anderson's got the biggest fight against him is probably the heart rate. He'd be absolutely kicking himself that opportunity slipped away. And I think there's no way that he's going to be able to catch these top 3. These guys have scooted away. And, you know, the likes of Jared Filsell, who's on fresh tyres. Griffin Gardner's right there. Gilliam would be desperate to try and get that spot past Gardner. But it's been a great drive from Griffin, and he'll be absolutely stoked with what's going on. Yes, he hasn't been able to chase him. Go to the OG gear replay, you can see that Anderson lock-up, and unfortunately that's what cost him the race lead and puts him back to P4.
The thing about safety cars in super sprint races is all of a sudden you get 5 laps. That OG gear replay cam, we might have to go through a few of them before we get to the conclusion of things here. 3 to go. It'll be 2 to go when we get back to the start-finish line, which means we're under 10 kilometres left in this one. We've already halved the distance we've got left to run since the drop of that green flag at the end of the safety car period. Here's the moment from the rear end of the field. Stenberg gets rotated by the 23 of Chris Island.
So that was Ireland just waiting to give that spot back to Stenberg, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then down through the chicane they feed Rattray White right up and under the rear wing of Jake Maloney. And he'll be thinking, how unlucky have I got to be? He's 3rd place in the championship at the moment. Madison Down put points on in race 1. He's going to reply and put those points back on Madison Down in race number 2. There's only a few guys across both of the races have actually been consistent too. That's huge. How difficult it's been to get 2 qualifying sessions done and 2 races done.
Yeah. Well, that shows you the field. Oh, just checking out this action back here. Everyone's just trying their absolute best. A couple of laps to go. We touched on it with the likes of Madison Down, who grabbed pole in race 1, and it was 13th for race 2. So it's not as easy as it looks just to back it up. You think you've got a good car, but if you don't get the job done, unfortunately it bites you. But Jared Filsell, he's been a class act today himself, Gilliam, but also Griffin Gardner in this race as well. So you can't take anything away from those guys, but they're backing it up, and with 2 laps to go.
Oh, Ryan Jones is going to shoot dive at the hairpin. I think he's buckling Postlethwaite. Oh, there's a little bit of paint being traded, and just ahead of these guys, by the way. Brady Baldwin. Oh, he's going to block him all the way to the inside.
Oh, no, he's not.
Dylan O'Shea. There was a touch worth of overlap. O'Shea's in the grass. And right takes off the nose with Paliancic.
Well, that's what happens. You start blocking drivers in a straight line, that's what's going to happen. So white flag's out. Barney's given it his best. Jared Filso over Griffin Gardner, Andrew Gilliam. Drama down the back straight away. This has got everything.
Race 2 in both of the super sprints has just created drama. One more lap left to run. Last time out it was for a race when it was a fuel save strategy versus those that couldn't make it and pit early. This time out it's on tyres is what we make the play for. Brady Baldwin, by the way, that was going to finish that point up 14 spots. He's done a phenomenal job. Ryan Jones as well, he's plus 18 at the moment, but I have a feeling he's going to have a penalty in his way for some of the squabbling that I've seen. Emily Jones back inside the top 10 will be very, very happy with her final night at the office for 2025. But the man they're all chasing in championship contention is Jared Filsell, and they're chasing him all night long here tonight. Hasn't got a pole position from both of the races here tonight, but it does not matter for him. He's going to go 2 from 2. And for Jared Filsell, Road Atlanta takes this one out once more here tonight. 2
Emily!
big
She's
sprints.
going to slow down. Oh, she's been touched! Oh, drama at the start-finish line. Sorry to cut you off, mate. I think Emily might have got a slowdown just in that last chicane and then got tangled up at the checkered flag. So Emily has finished her night and possibly her season in the Logitech Pro Series. Oh, more drama behind as well. So this is the OG Gear replay. She was all by herself. I wonder if she got a slowdown with a... What's happened? She might be out of fuel, we're hearing. Yeah.
Remember, she was one of the drivers who didn't pit until very, very late on. Yeah, it's coughing.
Oh, she did. Oh, no. Yeah, so she was shaking it, just trying to get it home, and unfortunately got absolutely drilled, and then there was massive drama, big contact, and quite a few cars involved. And then as this replay goes on, more cars come into the mix as well.
Who's the car that joins her on the inside of the racetrack? Just wait. Is it Bo Albert? I reckon it's going to be Bo Albert. Oh, that's Albert.
Yeah, there was another one that went off too. So, look at the amount of carnage on the straightaway. This is after the race is finished. Ooh. And then also we had that drama with the blocking down the back straightaway that ended up as calamity. But Jared Filsell takes the win, 2 from 2 tonight. As we go to the OG Gear replay, and this is what we saw. So, Bo Albert is probably making that final charge, gets the left rear, or he gets sideways. He's just trying to hold on to it. Oh, he gets tagged. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a very, very loose corner, but the thing is, it doesn't matter. Because the start-finish line, you've just got to make the line. You don't care about bringing the car back in one piece because it's a digital car, and it doesn't hurt.
Not paying the bills either.
Yep.
Well, I can say Jared Filsell, the cream rises to the top. Jared doesn't care about pole positions. He'll take the wins, and that's exactly what he's done tonight, 2 from 2.
Yeah, Griffin Gardner will come home less than a second behind for P2. Andrew Gilliam, 2 podiums from 2 outings here tonight. We'll be reasonably happy with that one. Josh Anderson, that is going to be a distraught man once again. That he couldn't get that one done and bottled it all on his own. He's so critical of himself, so expect to hear him talking about himself after that one. Jake Maloney from Zach Rattray White. Those 3 guys didn't trade positions the final couple laps. Brady Myers inside the 10. Rick Kuznetsov qualified well but slid as the races wore on. Madison Down didn't qualify well, gains 4 spots inside the 10. James Scott to round out the top 10. Emily Jones, first car just outside after running out of fuel. Ethan Greed Galt was the car that got into the back of her crossing the start-finish line. Rosella was the next car on the road. Him and Damon Woods both have 5-second penalties though. They will lose a boatload of time depending upon whether they serve them. Dylan Rudd, defending championship winner out of 15th spot. Dylan Pereira, Ian Ford, Matthew Bowler, Lachlan Capel, Brenton Hobson inside the 20. And it's a game of who got their qualifying right, who started in the right positions, who got it done on lap number 1. Jacob O'Reilly from Kobe Williams, Adam Briggs, Brady Baldwin, he'll be happy with that one, 24 spot. Ryan Jones, I believe, will probably pick himself up a penalty. There was a bunch of stuff happened after that safety car. Brian Borg, Glenn Postlethwaite, Michael Taliancic, Sebastian Vandel, and Hayden Veld rounds out your 34 Bud. And outside the 30, Andre Yusuf, Bo Albert, wrecked it across the finish line. Ben Faulkner recovered, managed to keep it on the lead lap in this one. Fresh tyres aided him at the back end. Jordan Ross, Damon Mulquin, Jake Blackhall, Dylan O'Shea, Kurt Stenberg, and Chris Ireland got rotated at the back end. They went to the rear. Wayne Burke not finishing the race 2 laps down. Sean McNamara also with damage at the back end of that one. Andre Heimgartner, another cause for safety car, not classified for points. Teo Serrano, gee, he had a rough night from both of those races. 43rd, 44th was the safety car, by the way. And yeah, that runs us out. It was 43 drivers that took the grid. Sorry, my apologies. Jack Wittes was the one driver as well. Remember, he retired at the end of lap 1.
Mate, plenty happening. I love these sprint races. I don't know how the drivers feel about it. It's a little bit nervy for them, but we love it in the commentary box. I'm sure everyone enjoys it at home too. Great racing, different format, something different. And mate, now it's enduro time. How exciting is that?
That's it. After this one, it is off to the longer format races, and the series will move to a Friday night time slot, because we're heading off to Phillip Island for the next one on October the 3rd, Sandown at the end of October, and then Bathurst in November. Well, later Bathurst 1000 than we're used to. Right, so this is the replay heading down the back straight, Sandown.
We saw this live, and it was just, you get a little bit argy-bargy trying to block, and then it's down in this straightaway, it's tough, but you see he's alongside and he's just not giving him any room. And unfortunately, it's so fast, that part of the racetrack on the grass, absolutely no control, fired off into the wall. Unfortunately, I think if you block like that, you're gonna be in on the end of the stick. Unfortunately, and yeah, that's cost him quite a few positions. It was a decent old hit. And we've seen the back straight has provided some drama tonight. Didn't expect that. We expected all through the S's.
Yeah, it was just drama, just everywhere you look tonight. It's just quick fire nature of this one. Right, gets it done. 2 races from 2 here tonight. And after blowing some tyres at Jerez, I was expecting there might have been a fuse blown in that one, Jared Filsell, but cool, calm, collected, parked it up, got the job done, nicked the spots back. That was the danger of running long, was if a safety car came out, you wouldn't have track position on the restarts.
Yeah, that was an untimely safety car. Perfect storm, really. But Griff was pretty nice to me on the first lap there, and I expected a fight with Anderson, but unfortunately made a little mistake there, so that was a bit unfortunate on his behalf. I was actually looking forward to a bit of a battle. So, but yeah, the car didn't really switch on after that cold cycle on the tyre. That's the weirdest I've felt this car drive for a long time. After that fresh tyre, then let it cool right down and then go again. It was really odd. We're going to have to look into that.
That'll be something that's, we're going to see safety cars with the endurance races coming up, because we're up to Phillip Island for the 500 next time out, Sandown and Bathurst, before the final race of the season. Mate, look, obviously quite dominated, quite comfortable here at Road Atlanta. How's the endurance campaign starting to shape up for you?
I haven't even sorted out anything yet for driver combo wise. That's a conversation for probably next week. We generally have no idea what we're doing with driver lineups or anything like that. So yeah, I'm sure you guys will know when we fire an entry form in whenever that comes about. But now looking forward to a new challenge, driving the car on a full tank, because this series is capped for whatnot. For some reason. So yeah, it's it'll be different philosophy, and yeah, a lot more management.
Mate, in terms of things, we spoke probably a couple of months ago about track selections and how we were feeling about this place, and I think everyone sort of circled Road Atlanta and said this is probably going to be a really, really tricky one, just with the way that the car tries to put the power down, clambers over curbs and those sorts of things. All things considered, that didn't actually go too badly, and the racing product actually, it was mostly in the rearview mirror, but it looked like, just to be patient, harass your teammate in the first race, and then again, just be clean and concise just about how you harass and how you set up for the overtake in race number 2. The racing product didn't look too bad, I reckon.
Yeah, the car drove pretty poorly, but I wouldn't say we stumbled. We did some work and found a nice little balance that suited all three of us here, and it worked for Brody as well. He obviously found it because he's the guru. But yeah, it really looks after its tyres. In the cooler temp, in the hotter temp, it was okay, but yeah, it's just one of those things where we actually had to put a little bit of effort in this week, given some other teams had some prior testing time over us with racing in another series. So yeah, we had to just put our heads down, bums up, and get on the grind for a bit there before this race. So that was cool.
Righto, mate. Congratulations on getting it done here tonight. Who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to?
Oh yeah, first and foremost, Brody for jumping in, helping Spot tonight, helping with the setup for most of the week. It was obviously Gilly as well. His input is invaluable as well, given his real world pedigree. I would thank Luke, but he seems to just not not appear anywhere on the timesheets, unfortunately, when we have a good race. So it's bad luck for him, but I will shout him out on his good race win at Jerez. That's well deserved. About time he won a race by himself. And obviously Whitey's Pies as well. Thank them for jumping on board. And I'd like to thank my old mate Dean Thrower for coming out of the grave and helping us for the last 2 weeks as well. It's nice to have him back in Discord and talking.
Mate, congratulations and extending that championship margin heading into the Enduros, mate. Enjoy and take a little bit of a reprieve because it'll be a bit over a month before we get started at Phillip Island.
Yep, perfect. Can't wait.
All right, mate. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Righto. We will take one step further forward in terms of the podium standings. It's a man who was there and thereabouts in the early runnings of race number 2, was crawling around in 4th, but you're able to stay with them in the early runnings. Got the undercut though, Griff, and that was the crucial factor, got yourself ahead. Then things just fell your way when that safety car happened.
Yeah, it was a much better race in race 2 than race 1. And yeah, I got the strategy right this time. Taking tyres was a much better option and timed it right, which got us in front, and then a good time with the safety car. So yeah, it was good.
Mate, obviously made the decision you didn't fight that one too hard in terms of with Jared Philsell on the run out of turn number 1. You just got a better run off that last corner. Was that plan? You figuring probably the 94, not the car you were looking to try and fight it? I guarantee it was Gilliam, just trying to hang on to that podium was the target.
Yeah, I knew, Josh, I know Josh is going to defend that spot, so it's better to try and get into 3rd and wait for something to happen, which obviously did. But Jared got a much better run through the last corner, and if I didn't let him through, he's going to bomb me. So it's better just let him through and stay in front of Andrew, which turned out to get us P2. So it was the right decision.
Mate, championship-wise, obviously it's not been the greatest of years thus far, but the Enduro campaign, and in particular the Enduro Cup, is always an opportunity to turn it around. Historically, you've been really strong across the endurance campaign. So is this something that you go, look, championship's not gone my way, but for pride, the next 3 races are what really matter?
Yeah, I think same as last year, this is where I made my jump. And I think I'm in a good position to do it again. To kind of made a step forward, we think, with the car this week compared to how we've been trending a lot downwards lately. So it's good to bounce back a bit here. And I've got a very strong co-driver, so I'm looking forward to it. And I generally do well in these enduros, so we'll see how we go.
Mate, in terms of things, who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out for getting it done here tonight from Road Atlanta for you?
Firstly, thanks to James and Dylan from the Chiefs, and also all the guys at Eclipse for all the hard work, especially Zach for all the effort he puts in. He's a big reason why I'm up the front, and I'm sorry to him as well. I've completely buggered him at the start there, so apologies to Zach. Thanks to Brendan, the whole crew, Andrew at the Chiefs for supporting us, and thank you to our sponsors, Logitech G, Westfield, Aussie Broadband, and also thanks to the series admins for what they do, putting on the show, and you guys for your amazing broadcast.
Mate, thank you very much for the kind words, Griff. Congratulations on P2 here tonight, mate, and hopefully that endurance campaign treats you well.
Thanks, Scott.
Finally, Sam Mann's standing on by with a man he met just a few weeks ago.
P3 tonight, Andrew Gilliam, you were in the thick of it all night, buddy, but a couple of podium positions for tonight. I don't think you'd be too disheartened, but it was a great battle between you and your teammate, Jared Filsell.
Yeah, no, it was good, consistent night tonight. Definitely probably one of my worst tracks. I keep talking about the way I try to make time on the way in with trail break, and I just still can't. Like, I was so uncomfortable as both races, just constantly attention to detail on my brake input, making sure I'm not cooking fronts, and nothing is natural to me yet. And this track definitely exposed that weakness of mine. So still a lot of work for me to get an average race pace sort of out of the car. But yeah, definitely getting happier with my quali performance.
Mate, not a bad result. If you're saying that you're not quite comfortable, you're hiding it pretty well, mate. And with a couple of podium positions and the pace that it looked like it had, it's a credit to you, mate. Especially if there's time to find in yourself.
Yeah, there is. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm either about to like fall off the track understeering or crack throttle a little bit too hard and rear end slip off the track. Like, I was sweating so hard at the end of that race I was just so uncomfortable the whole race. And yeah, I was like, especially that second race, I don't know, the temps were up, and I don't know if the setup was perfect for that track condition. And I was like, oh, I'm going to slip back to fourth here if I'm not careful.
And how'd you feel with the safety car? Were you blown up about that? That might not have come at the right time, or were you happy to take that safety car?
For me, I was not like, I'm 100% CPU usage trying to just do a Jared Filsell lap time at the moment. So I probably wasn't going to be able to race, back through easily, especially with how fast Griff was coming off the corner onto the back straight. So look, I think it played out as good as it could for me. Knowing how uncomfortable I was in the race, and my confidence was a bit shot in myself, I probably would have just ended up getting stuck behind P3, to be brutally honest. So yeah, I'm not too fussed. Yeah, if this feels like a terrible performance from me and it's a second and third place, then yeah, I've got to see the bright side in that and push on and make myself better.
And I know people would be killing for a podium on a bad night, so that's not bad at all, mate. But the focus now switches to endurance. It's the endurance rounds now for the next few races. How's the mindset? You excited about endurance racing? Obviously, we don't quite know driver pairings yet. You might keep that to yourself, but how's that looking as we approach enduro rounds?
Yeah, I enjoy enduro rounds. There's like some strategy and a little bit more engineering, and reacting to safety cars and things like that make it exciting. So usually I feel like I'm taking too long in races to warm up, but longer races like Taylor and Bathurst, I'll be fired up by a third of the way in, comfortable with whatever I've got, ready to bang doors with people. So yeah, I feel like it'll suit me more with my driving, more time to think about it without the pressure just constantly on you like it is in a sprint race.
Well, before we let you go and enjoy tonight's results, mate, is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, a big shout out to our sponsor, Whitey's Pies, for all the support. Thank you very much. And yeah, just massive effort by the team. Richie and Kostecki did a fantastic job for us tonight, pushing strategy. Kostecki did a lot of work with our setup tonight and over the last week. So yeah, massive thank you to those guys. Wouldn't be possible without them pushing us so hard each race event. And yeah, thank you to the commentary team and all the race control that keep putting on such a brilliant event.
All right, well done, mate. Let you go and enjoy it with the boys, but congratulations on tonight, and all the best for Enduros, mate. Looking forward to catching up with you again.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
There you go, Scotty. So Andrew Gilliam, not entirely happy with his race, but still walked away with a couple of podiums. It's not a bad effort at all.
Yeah, I think the big comment for me is that he said he personally is 100% CPU usage. So that's him basically saying I've got to be 100% on the limit focus to drive that thing at the same speed that Jared does. And Jared just sounds cool, calm. lazy, nice and easy. It's just natural. It's just flying for him at the moment, which is you can't maintain that when you get into the enduro, which will be really, really critical to see. Right, we talked about it already. Round 9, Phillip Island. This will be an interesting one as well. The first of our endurance races, Friday night coverage on Friday the 3rd of October. And the big one is, Phillip Island, it's a tyre burner. Is the right front tyre going to hang on for all the laps on that fuel tank, or are you going to start to lose them? What is the track temp going to do as the day goes on as well? It's been a while since we've done a 500-kilometre race from the island. And what trials and tribulations will it bring? Indeed, is there rain in the offering with a longer server to take us there? Would that just be the sting in the table? The colds of Siberia, as it just buckets down rain at the corner named after the conditions. Then it's on to the next round of the Gamesman GT Pro Invitational Series, round of 5 for the band, Friday 17th of October. Still activity in the middle of October before we get to the second of our Enduros, which will be Sandown at the 31st of October. Bathurst coming in November. That's the latest we've had Bathurst in this series, I think, ever as well. And don't forget that it's the climb onto the mountain, and there'll be a week's worth of racing activities that week as well, because we will have a shootout. We'll have action on the Friday night as the GT Pro has their series finale on the Friday night. We've got Porsche Cup racing action that's been scheduled for us as well, and I think there's the co-driver clash, which was a fan favorite last year. Wasn't that awesome? Just to see the co-drivers getting the opportunity to go toe-to-toe. That is what we've got left in the calendar for 2025. Tonight, I've been Scott Rankin alongside of Stephen Sandman Clark. Sam, man, that was a banger. Thank you for being alongside of me, brother, because I enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, we enjoyed sprint rounds, and it mixed it up tonight, a little bit of carnage, and made people work for it. It was a nice way to lead it into Enduros, but I'm pumped about that. Looking forward to bringing you all the action as we head there, and mate, already can't wait. Super pumped.
Yep. That's it. We're offing it onto the Enduro calendar next time out. I've been Scotty Rankin. He's been Stephen Sandman Clark. This has been the Logitech G Pro Invitational. We are on the way to a champion. Will you be with us the next time we go racing? It'll be Phillip Island on the 3rd of October.
Hi, my name's Courtney Prince, and last year I competed in Porsche Carrera Cup with BWT. Today I've been on the sims with the OG race gear. I love the new gloves. They're really breathable and awesome, so you don't get sweaty hands using your normal race gloves on the sim. The socks are also really good. You don't get sore feet on the sim. I also think in training they'll be really handy as well.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in the game. This feeling is what drives us as we create world-class gaming chairs. Our one aim, give you a brand new gaming experience. Help you move in perfect sync with everything on screen. Make sure you're having a ton of fun. It took us decades to achieve this, and we're still not satisfied. Every day, we wake up to get better. We'll never stop designing the very best to help you be your best. When it's all said and done, our job's only done if you're in full flow and focused on your victory. May you win, and win big.
Hi guys, Lockie Dalton here from Tickford Racing. We're in our Wildcard Gen 3 car. Something really cool, what we've got here is our MPI sim wheel. So configured with our Logitech button box. As you can see, it is identical to our Gen 3 wheel. Really cool for the sim world and the supercar world as well. Can't wait to get home and use this. As you can see, you can nearly configure this exactly the same as we would have our supercars. So exact same material, something I'm really keen for.